Sir, you're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault. And you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict, and boy, do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy there.
They got the wrong guy, and the dog was biting him.
He roughened him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
9 out of 10 judges prefer watching the Recovery Addict's live stream in their courtroom.
The fireworks are not done.
Now we're getting commentary on the case. That he Anglican, or he's very Slavic.
Is that correct?
I didn't ask you to interrupt from sake.
Scratch all that. Oh, that was terrible. I apologize.
All right, good morning, welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict. We are, new shirt. I went casual today is what I did. Magellan Outdoors. Love it. All right, I'm hot with the long sleeve. It's funny because I'm wearing shorts, but I have a big fan like right over here. And so my legs are cold and my arms are warm, but I'll probably pull these up about halfway through. Do the whole 3/4 sleeve thing. Good morning. Happy Tuesday to you. We made it to the second day of the work week. Yeah, let me try to fix this here. I guess that's just the way it's going to be. All right. Yep. Sleeves are coming up already. That's where we're going. We're going short. Good morning. I have to say good morning especially to Angelique, who said good morning to me first. First in chat. Congratulations, Angelique. First in chat comes with its, privileges and its punishment. Angelique, yes, for being first in chat, we're going to punish you, and we're going to sentence you to internet ownership, which means you have to maintain everything internet-related worldwide. Good luck. Oh, I need to put your chat on screen as well, though. That's probably better. Let's do this one there. How about that? Okay. So Angelique right here is first in chat. Congratulations. I love the Halloween-themed avatar as well. That was great. And good morning, little man. Yes, I'm okay with everyone calling me little man except for the defense attorney. That's the only one. That's the only one that we're not going to allow to do that. So I'll have words with him at some other point. Let's see. Buffer, Gary, Lisa Lama, netted. Is it Nenad? Or Nened? Nend? Is the Q silent? I don't know. Waffles, True Crime, and Mathis. Mathis all celebrating their special day today. We're going to sing happy birthday to those special people because it's their day, and that's what we do. So I'm going to say Nened. Nened. Let's do needed. Because, yeah. It's pronounced as it's written. Netted, not ninad. I'm going netted. All right. So I would go with needed. Well, Angela didn't straighten me out at all. So I'll probably get to mispronounce this one, but I do apologize in advance, so it makes it okay. All right, join with me if you will. Warm-ups, ready? La 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 la. Excellent. It's going to be a good one, I can tell. Dancers are stretched, they're all ready, queued up. Here we go. Blend your voice with your neighbors, project your voice to the back of the room. Here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Gary, Lisa Lama, Nina, Waffles, True Crime, and Mathis. Happy birthday to you. Gary, Lisa Lama, Nina, Waffles, True Crime, and Mathis. Happy birthday. Help yourself to free pancakes at Denny's, Waffles, Waffle House, IHOP, Village Inn, the Breakfast Nook. I'm sure there's a place that serves pancakes called the Breakfast Nook. So if you can find it, they'll probably give you free pancakes. Tell them I said it was okay. Happy birthday. Hope you have a wonderful birthday. Realize there are a million places you could be, a million people you could celebrate with, but you've chosen to be here with us. And that makes my day just a little bit better. And hopefully we can in turn make your day a little more specialer. start by using a word that doesn't exist, which specialer I don't think is a word. Little interlude here. Let's see. Oops, split my leotard again. Sorry, peeps. Danny. Whoa. Good thing you're not on the front row. Happy birthday, one and all. It's great. It's great. Oh, yeah. All the emojis. Cookies, ice cream, cake, balloons, pickles, hot peppers, pancakes, pizza. Looks like a sunny side up egg there on the end. Yes, specialer is a word. If you use it, I use it, you use, therefore, a word. Okay. I think it is. We're going to count it. Specialer. It's our word. Are we on live feed now? Yes, we are, Missy Angels. We are on day 16 of the Melody Farris trial. We're waiting just briefly. We should have court feed coming up shortly. Long sleeve today. I normally wear long sleeves, but they're normally rolled up. Oh, drum solo's coming. That was the cue. Beautiful. You would not know it, but I actually have a electronic drum kit upstairs. I have been known to jam on the drums. I'm not good at it. I'm very, as a matter of fact, anytime I play an actual instrument, I'm much worse in real life than I think I am in my head. But it sure is fun to play. You plug in your favorite music and you just beat on the drums and try to make it sound right. Doesn't surprise me, says Tisha. It doesn't. My son was playing the drums when he was in high school, and we got him this. More for a gift for me, I think, than for him. But it's all good. Love the drums while listening. Yes. I'm a great drummer in the car. Your luck, specialer is a word. Noun, specialer, plural of specialers. A nurse or aide assigned to provide on one-on-one observation of a patient. That's not how I was using it, Josh. Look for other definitions, because I'm pretty sure I've got a different one. Kathy's here. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo says, I heard that Recovery Addict was over here solving crimes. Had to tune in today and see. Well, I don't always solve crimes. When I do, I'm the man in the corner. I'm here with you on that one. Thank you, Matthew. I love electronics. Oh, I was shopping again yesterday. I was shopping for electronics. I've got this. Well, while we're waiting for court to start, let me share with you my little nerdy situation that we have going on. I sometimes have to film things with cameras, and I'll be at the back of the room. I'll set up if you go to a venue and there's like a guy with all the buttons and stuff at the table, and he's running the cameras and everything from back there. That's me, right? So I sometimes have to do that, and sometimes I have to take a signal from my cameras and put it up on a big screen that's like, big projector for the conference center or something. Big, convention hall. And I've found that the system I have right now introduces about 8 to 12 milliseconds of delay in video. Now, the projector doesn't have any audio, so that's not a problem. My audio going out on the internet is fine. But, if somebody was trying to lead the audience in, let's say, syncopated clapping,
taking it easy,
they would clap, and then a second, an eighth, it would be like that. Like the video would be that far behind them. Now, I've never had somebody try to lead the audience in clapping before, but I see that delay and it frustrates me. So I'm looking at solving that, and I found the perfect tool. It's
have them send someone with more experience.
Yes, that's it. Get somebody with more experience, and then you'll be better. No, it's
Is that correct?
It's the secret is 2110. 2110 from Blackmagic Design. It's a compression that lets me take 3 video signals and send them down an internet cable at the same time I'm getting 3 signals back, and there's no delay. It's beautiful. It's beautiful, and it's virtually uncompressed. So now I need 2 Blackmagic Design 2110 IP converter 3x3 Gs and about 200 feet of internet cable, and then my problems will all be solved in life. So that's where I was. Yes, that's what I was doing this morning. Sorry, I'm late. Do you need intervention for your love of cables, electronic sound systems, or whatever else? You surely do love all that techie stuff. I do love it. I really do. I'm always.
A video of roaches fighting.
I don't know who won. I don't know who won. I'm always looking for that way to make something just a tiny bit better. And unfortunately, it just takes one more cable or one more device every single time. Where'd you buy your shirt? Might like to give one to my son for Christmas. I think, well, Mrs. R.A. bought me this one. I think she got it at Academy Sports. Does that sound right?
I saw.
It might have been Academy Sports.
I saw a chicken fight.
What happened to the Let No Horse Go Unbeaten? We had some people who said, we've played that one a lot. And Mr. Harpootlian making that was, and especially people who really like horses, and they're like,
"Are we going to address subject matter?
Can we change that out?" And I said, we can do that. We changed it out so that the horse now the command when you say horse is completely different.
Kick back, taking it easy.
If you do the command for horse, you'll see that.
I think I'm about to catch a whooping.
What is it on the sleeve? It says Magellan Outdoors, and I think it glows in the dark. It looks like Outdoors glows in the dark. But, well, let's see, like that, Magellan Outdoors. And there's a little logo on the left chest. Wild Horses just ran through chat. Red Pen is thinking about riding on horseback down the beach at sunset. So the command is verbal instead of an audio command. Yep. All right. Did you get soundbite from this Farris trial when the defense attorney said by a channel called Recovery Addict? I did not, Angelique. I'm not huge on the self-serving sound effects. Like, I'll play a couple in the intro, but I think the sound effects that we want during trial should be more ones that are more universal. Let's see.
Is that correct?
That's correct. Whoopin' is still my favorite. That's a good one. Got to ride horses on the beach in Costa Rica at sunset with my family this year. Bucket list. Kaylee, that's what I'm talking about when it says you're thinking about riding on a horseback down the beach at sunset. That was it. It's a bucket list item. How about little man in the corner with the headphones? Possibly Mathis. Happy birthday, by the way, Mathis. I have a confession. I have big dreams of one day doing all these things, and I have just so little time. I like to dedicate the time that I'm not on the live stream as much as I can to my family and all that. And so when the live stream's over, I'm like, look, let me just step away. I'll get to that later, and then I never get to it. And some of you know you've emailed me, and I've said I've got these ideas for this, and then I don't email back. That's my.
There's a lawsuit.
It's one of my many character flaws. So I do apologize. We'll get there eventually. All right, random question. I have no TV at home, but did the family watch TV on vacation? Oh, I know no TV at home. Did we watch TV on vacation? No. We were too busy going out and doing things. Is it possible you will be subpoenaed to appear in court? It would be an out-of-state subpoena, so it would have no compelling power. They might want to talk to me, but I doubt it. I doubt they would. And no, I didn't do anything wrong. And there's zero indication that Martha Jane and I have ever talked on any format ever before, or even had any inkling that I knew that she was watching. So I didn't do anything wrong. Plus, what I said, I just put the pieces together that their investigator apparently didn't.
Because he's the guy.
Kaylee, I have had a wide breadth of experiences. My experience is a mile wide and an inch deep, is what I like to say. I can program a CNC press brake type stuff. I can drive a forklift. Yes, I can start a fire with just about any materials because I'm a little bit of a pyromaniac from my early days. Missy's Angels. In Melody's police interview, she never mentions Chris being there. She always says she was out doing stuff on the farm, riding the tractor, called Chris about the horses. It's a good listen. Tomorrow, we're expecting the court to have a break, which, by the way, we're actually up in court now. We're expecting the court to have a little bit of a break, and during that day, we're going to catch up on some of the stuff we missed. Oh, that was weird. I just pushed a key and the camera shook. It's like I was connected. I mean, the timing was perfect. Let's see, we've got somebody calling in, but I'm not connected yet. There we go.
Call from Angela.
Angela, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing great. It's actually pronounced Nanad, so it's as spelled. No E, by the way.
Nanad?
Yes. It's my brother, and I'll show him later.
Nanad, happy birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday. Well, I'm sorry I messed it up.
I'll show him later. It's all right. Yesterday I sent you a piece of cake. Check your mail. By the way.
Cake in the mail.
Yes.
My favorite.
Yeah, well, email. But
okay, thank you.
Virtual email.
Virtual cake.
Virtual cake. Interesting. I actually have something kind of related, but also not related to the trial. Something I learned, a fact that I learned years ago. I don't remember from where I heard it, but do you know the difference between, the question is for you and the chat. Do you guys know the difference between when woman steals and when men steals?
Steal, like stole something?
Yep.
Is this like a dad joke, or do you want me to honestly try to?
No, it's actually a fact. It's a fact. So have you maybe thought of it? I mean, we have listened through so many trials. I mean, have you ever thought of like what's the difference between like when men steals and when a woman steals?
Is it I have no idea.
Well, men steals everything, and everything they can get a hold of, and women steals only what they need. So, let's say that the guy, the reason why I thought of that.
We're talking about the 38 special.
Yeah. So she only stole what she needed, which was the revolver.
Right. The guy would have grabbed both guns.
Yeah. And the guy that stole, I mean, he clearly only thought whatever that guy that had problem with drugs. That the guy in 2010 that stole from Martha Jane.
Yeah.
He took only what he can put in his pocket.
The jewelry. Yeah.
You know. Yeah. So. Yeah, that's one of the. I didn't think of that. I was like, okay, let's say Melody didn't do it, but someone else took the gun. Well, then that fact came back. Woman steals what they need. Male steals everything. So yeah.
Interesting. Interesting thoughts. Well, thank you very much for that. That's just one more possible indicator that would lean towards the thief being a woman, which Melody is. So
yeah. Wendy, I know that does not make sense, but unfortunately literature has proven that. If you go back through what male versus female steals, you can see the very vast difference.
But I think I'm sure you can find exceptions. I mean, look in Les Mis, Jean Valjean. No, it was. What was his name? Is it Jean Valjean? No, that was the police guy. 24601. What was his? Do you know what I'm talking about? The main character. Initially, he just stole a loaf of bread, right? Because that's what he needed for food.
Yeah.
Later, he stole the candlesticks. Didn't need those, but I don't know. A lot to think about. Thank you very much, Angela. We're gonna get started. So have a great day. Thanks for calling.
Yes.
Appreciate it. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
That was fiction. What? I saw the movie. I thought it was like live action. Okay, Missy's Angels, if you can give me a little help, if you can send me either a text or in chat, let me know what day's audio you'd like me to really try to clean up and play for you guys. And I'll do what I can. Some of it is terrible and you just can't fix. And I haven't heard it yet, so I'm not sure if that's what it is. But we might. Let me know what day in trial. Like today we're on day 16, so give me a little heads up that way. The interview, I need to know the day because I'm not going to be able to find it. Because here's what happens. I get on YouTube and I think, I'm going to find where the interview is. And I pull up YouTube and then it's on my home screen. And I'm like, the Holderness family put out a new video. Son shot a deer. I'll check that out first. Next thing you know, I've watched like 6 videos of the Holderness family hunting deer. I start watching a live goat feed from, a family that live streams goats. And before you know it, it's 2 a.m. in the morning. I've done nothing on the research. And it's day 12 is the interview. Okay, well, I'll keep notes here. Yeah, YouTube has my number. They know how to get to me. Okay, day 12. Okay. Arms Family Homestead. Arms Family's good. I like it because he used to be like a cop, and now he's a rancher. He's a full-on farmer, and he likes to fish. Day 11 and 12. Okay. Now at least I don't have a reason to not get it done. My pal, I'm not addicted to goats. I'm curious about why goats do what they do. Why, when there's food all around them, do they have to climb onto the top to eat the food at the very top? That's the question I just don't have answered yet. Spent all night watching trees being cut down. Oh, Greeners, I solved my IRS woes. You know how I did it? I called my accountant and said, look, I screwed up again. And full confession, I had screwed up much bigger than I thought. I completely botched, hopefully that's not a bad word, my quarterly taxes. Like, oops, I just incurred another fine. She fixed it. And now I fixed it so it won't happen again.
Detective Rockwell.
Hey, Detective Rockwell, how are you doing? Donnie, what's up?
Do you think you'll get more of, I'm just saying, the people that don't know about you as a YouTuber or whatnot, do you think that people that are watching and the lawyer actually explaining, do you watch YouTube? Do you know Recovery Addict? Do you think that some people might say, hey, oh shit, let's see what's going on with this guy? Do you think you get more views and subscriptions because of that? Even just if it's a little. Just what do you think about that?
I honestly don't think so.
Why do I think so? I've been in YouTube for 13 years. I've seen it happen. You just mention something and it happens.
It's how it was mentioned. He was very derisive in how he mentioned my channel.
Doesn't matter. Even bad publicity is good publicity.
But
Look at Trump. He's doing
I'm not sure if I want... You're going to get a block real quick. Pickles, not politics, Donnie.
Yeah, I just can't unblock me. Somebody wrote, Donnie, unblock me. It's all rumors. Don't listen. If anyone tells you secretly, and I know they do, if they ever tell you that I'm like, it's all rumors. I don't do things like that.
All right. Donnie, thank you very much.
All right, but I want you to have a good day, and let's hope we get your face out. And another thing is, that picture that they have you smiling ear to ear, it looks like they manipulated it because you smile a lot, and that is wild. It looks like someone grabbed your face and pulled it back.
Yeah, it's
ridiculous.
terrible.
But it looked like they manipulated it.
It's called the pause game. And
well, they did that to make you look silly, right?
Yes.
For the jury to make you like, this fucking guy, what is he doing? He doesn't know nothing. Look at him. Look at his face. But that is, look at that picture, and
Donnie,
it just looks so
Donnie,
fake.
don't hang up. I just want you to know you've already been timed out. I think you got timed out for like 10 minutes. Apologize. Probably something you said. You mentioned politics. I think you said 2 cursey words already. So.
No, but this doesn't count. No. First of all, no. Oh my God, do people really? They got the itchy finger. Oh my God! But this doesn't count because I'm on the phone with you. It doesn't count. This is. It's like me being in the room with you. This doesn't count. Awesome. Okay, all right. Let's just go.
Love you, man. Thanks. Bye. Oh man. Doesn't count. It doesn't count. So, poor Donnie can't catch a break. Love him. A true comedian. Let's see. Phone counts as double. All right. Court's a little late starting today, so I'm not sure exactly what's happening. I think we worked through most of the jury charge yesterday, which leaves us with an expert today. We'll probably get out a little bit early, and then tomorrow we have the day off. So we're going to start trying to catch up on what we missed, some of the recordings and things during the break. So, because I have to admit, I don't. Oh, it's about time to start. We're showing the. This is the Alice in Wonderland clock. That's all, every time I see this clock, I think of that, like the rabbit's pocket watch. So we're about to come back to court. I don't know, because we've missed stuff. I'm not ready to convict in this case. And you guys might think I'm like up in the night, but I'm not there. I haven't seen the evidence that would cause me to, beyond reasonable doubt, believe that she's guilty. I think she is. It sure looks bad, but I'm not ready to convict right now. So maybe some of the stuff that we're going to catch up on and some of the recordings and things like that might take me the rest of the way. Let's see. Oh, she's happy. I'm back in pearls as well. Where's our audio?
All right, and you have your expert witness coming in now. Is it your intention to rest after that witness?
It is, Your Honor.
All right. Y'all got any plans for rebuttal at the moment? Okay. All right, so we're on track. We'll probably be done in an hour or so. All right, go and bring your witness in. Bring the jurors up. Probably bring the witness up and bring the jurors in. But. Y'all need me to... Mr. Ray, did I cover everything yesterday? Do y'all need me to do anything else on the record with your client?
I don't think so. You just did it again when I stepped in.
Right.
Sounds like she is not going to be testifying. Which 86% of us yesterday in the poll agreed that she would not be taking the stand. Expert witness comes in with his entourage. Actually, I think these are reporters. I'll tell you this. When it comes to reasonable doubt, it's not Scott. It's not Scott. It's not Chris. I know that they told us that Rusty has a rock-solid alibi. He was out of state. I haven't seen the evidence. They're just like, oh, you weren't here? Good. I don't know what that alibi is. I would have dug that a little deeper. So I personally don't know, but I trust them that it wasn't him. I'm not convinced that Rusty had zero knowledge beyond what he said he heard and then didn't hear. There seems to just be too many random phone calls at different times that for me to think he wasn't at least aware on some front of what was happening. So I was grocery receipts of him in a different state. Okay, so I'm good with him not being involved in the murder, but as far as knowledge of the murder, That's I'm not convinced on. Became a dad 2 days ago. What a surreal experience. I'll be a new member of the rewards crew. Thanks for everything, Dwayne. Congratulations.
Testimony you'll give before this court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Have a seat.
Thank you.
When you get seated, go ahead and state your name for the record.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Ayden. It's A-R-D-E-N.
And Dr. Ayden, what do you do for employment?
I am a forensic pathologist. My primary employment is as a consultant in forensic pathology and medicine, and I also hold a part-time position as a forensic pathologist with the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner for the state of West Virginia.
And so I'm assuming, being a forensic pathologist, you went to medical school?
Yes, sir.
Where did you go to undergrad?
2 years at Johns Hopkins University, and then 2 years at the University of Michigan.
How about medical school?
University of Michigan.
And when did you graduate from University of Michigan Medical School?
1980.
That's the year I was born.
Go ahead and make me feel old.
Where did you do your residency at?
I did a 3-year residency in anatomic pathology at the New York University Medical School in New York City. And then I did a 1-year residency in forensic pathology at the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner for the state of Maryland.
All right. What's the difference? I'll just go ahead and hop in here. What's the difference between anatomical pathology and forensic pathology?
Well, to begin with, let's start with the more general definition of pathology. That is the medical specialty that studies the changes in the form or the function of the human body or its components. And when I talk about changes, we're talking about the effects of diseases or injuries. In the broad field of pathology, it's divided into 2 major pieces, one of which is anatomic pathology, and that is the pathology of the anatomy, the structures of the body. So you learn to interpret and diagnose the changes of the structures of the body, some of which you can see with the naked eye, hold in your hand, some of which require the microscope to examine, and you diagnose diseases and injuries. Then within anatomic pathology, if you take the broad general background of general medicine, anatomic pathology, and then you apply it primarily to the process of investigating and certifying certain types of deaths, and those deaths being, number one, deaths that occur by violence, which simply means any death that occurs by any kind of injury under any circumstances, excuse me, as well as any deaths
Can we get
that
him some
occur
water?
Suddenly, unexpectedly, so people who die in public, for instance. That's the field of forensic pathology.
Okay. And if you need any water, there's some right there behind you.
I have some of this, sorry.
You're fine.
Oh, yeah. Pause for ASMR.
Now, after you finished your residency, what did you do after that?
After I completed the training that I just described to you, I then spent 20 years as a full-time government medical examiner. I worked in 4 different offices, including 9 years with the City of New York, where I rose through a number of titles and finished as the first Deputy Chief Medical Examiner. That's the second in command to that system. I then spent about 5.5 years as the Chief Medical Examiner of Washington, D.C. Once I finished my 20 years of full-time government service, I then entered into the consulting work, that type of work that brings me here today, and overlapping with that, I spent about 1.5 years with a part-time position in Northern Virginia, where I was living at the time, as a community-based medical examiner. And then, more importantly, since 2008, so for about 16 years now, I've held a part-time position with the medical examiner system in West Virginia, in which I perform the functions of their medical examiners. In that job, I actually do autopsies, write reports, go to court, things like that. But so then, the first 20 years of my career was full-time government work, and the second 20 years has been mostly consulting work.
Okay. I'm assuming you're currently licensed to practice medicine.
I'm currently licensed in 5 states.
And what states are those?
Florida, West Virginia, Maryland, Virginia, and I hold a license in an inactive status in New York.
Okay. Are you a member of any of the relevant organizations regarding forensic pathology?
Currently a member of the Florida Medical Association. I have been actually for about 35 years. I was a member of the National Association of Medical Examiners.
Okay. Have you done any teaching?
Excuse me?
Teaching?
During the course of my career, I have done teaching, particularly when I worked in New York City and Washington, D.C. I held academic appointments, and I did more teaching in those years. That's about 14, 15 years out of my 20 years of my career.
And what universities did you teach at or lecture?
In New York City, I had appointments in both the New York State University Medical School in Brooklyn, as well as the New York University Medical School in Manhattan. And in Washington, D.C., I was appointed in the George Washington University Medical School in the pathology department.
And how about any lectures or presentations? Do you do any of that?
I have over the years given a fair number of them, especially, again, my busiest time of teaching and lecturing was in New York and Washington, but I've provided various kinds of lectures to medical medical audiences, law enforcement, lawyers. So I've done a fair amount of that over the years. I've given presentations at national meetings a number of times as well.
And over the course of your now 44-year career or so, how many autopsies have you done?
I've personally done something over 3,000 forensic autopsies, plus whatever autopsies I did in training prior to that. And I haven't kept track, but I've probably had at least 500 other examinations of bodies without a full autopsy where I've issued death certificates.
Okay. And how many cases do you think that you have consulted on?
Oh, I haven't added that up. For the number of years in my consulting practice, I was taking about 125 to 150 new cases a year, trying to get myself towards something that sounds like retirement. We're probably taking around 65 new cases a year now.
How many times over the course of your career do you think you've testified in court?
Oh, probably around 5 years ago or so, I was still saying over 900 times testifying in court, hearings, grand juries, depositions all together. That's been years, so it's well over that now.
Okay. And how many different states in the U.S. have you testified in? And we'll just make it easy. How many times have you testified actually in court in front of a jury in the U.S.?
I don't actually have that number. I mean, it's a number of hundreds. It's probably more than 500 in front of a jury.
Okay.
Whoa.
In terms of states.
That's the highest I've ever heard.
I can't add that up lately either, but it's probably somewhere in the 25 to 30 state range, plus federal courts, plus military courts martial.
Okay. And what about, have you done any consulting work or testified in any foreign countries?
Yes, I actually testified by video in Montenegro a number of years ago. I've testified once or twice in Canada. I've consulted on cases that have not, or at least have not yet ended in testimony in England and Israel as well.
Have you been qualified as an expert witness before?
Yes, hundreds of times.
Hundreds of times? At this point, we would move Dr. Ayden in as an expert in the field of forensic pathology.
All right, any objections?
I think he's going to call into question the death
certificate. Entered as an expert and is thus can testify to his opinion based upon things in his range of experience. All right, go ahead.
Dr. Ayden, for the jury, explain what a medical examiner is.
He's attacking the death certificate.
Well, in this country, every jurisdiction has some form of a medical legal death investigation agency, and roughly half of the country is covered by agencies called medical examiners, and about half are covered by coroners. Those are somewhat different systems. We don't really need to belabor the politics of it or the constitutional end of it, but So a medical examiner's office is the office that is charged under the law with the kind of work that I told you is what forensic pathology does. The medical examiner's office is the one that investigates the deaths that come under its jurisdiction, either deaths due to injury, deaths that are sudden, unexpected, and unexplained, some other special categories, deaths in custody in some places, deaths due to public health hazards. So that's what the medical examiner office does. And the process that I outlined or I defined for you is investigate and certify. So it starts with an investigation. You have to figure out what are the circumstances, where did the dead person come from, how did this happen, because it gives you your context. Just like you go to see your doctor, you don't hide behind a curtain and say, figure me out. You come in and say, I have a cough, I have a fever, whatever, and your physician knows that it makes a difference if you're a 4-year-old girl or a 90-year-old man as far as what the doctor's looking for. So the investigation is like the history. And then the examination is usually the autopsy of the dead body, and sometimes it also includes toxicology or other examinations, x-rays, things like that. And so that's how the medical examiner office works. And if you're asking what is a medical examiner in terms of the professional, the medical examiner is a forensic pathology who performs all of those functions.
Okay.
Welcome, West Grand.
You were hired by myself and John Luke Weaver as a consultant on this case, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How much to date are you aware of? Like, how much have we paid you?
I believe I've been paid in fees up to now just about $6,600. I mean, I've been working on this case since January of 2021 with your office. And so I think at this point it's been just about $6,600 total. There are some other hours in there that haven't yet been paid, and plus the appearance today.
Okay. Does the fact that you are compensated by my office, does that change your opinion of what you're going to testify to today?
No. I offer my opinions based on the facts and accepted medical practice and my 40 years of experience, and you get the same opinion whether you're paying me or not, or whether it helps you or not. It's all based on the facts.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and jump into the facts. Tell the jury what all in this case have you reviewed.
First of all, I reviewed investigative reports from law enforcement, mostly from the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office. I believe there was one report from the Marshal. And there were also various reports from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, the GBI. That includes from their medical examiner's office the autopsy report and the anthropology report initially done by Dr. Gooding. That includes photographs that were taken, I'm kind of lumping together between law enforcement and the GBI, but photographs of the death scene or the recovery scene, photographs of the examination of the remains by the anthropologist and by the pathologist, x-rays, or actually I got photos of the x-rays taken of the remains. I think I also saw some photos that were from the house at the site where the burn pit was. From the GBI, I also reviewed some other laboratory reports. There was a laboratory report about looking for accelerants, in other words, chemicals that might have been used to fuel that fire. Unless I'm missing something, I think those were all the documents that I examined.
And you're not going to approach?
I'm going to show you what has been pre-marked as pardon 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Can you identify 1 through 3?
Well, you just handed me marked pardon 1 through 3, inclusive are 3 photographs taken of portions of the remains of Mr. Farris. These are photographs that I recognize that were taken during the time in June of 2022 when I personally examined the remains at the coroner's office here.
Okay, and that was my next question. So you actually went and reviewed the remains of Mr. Farris personally?
I did.
Okay. And I'm going to show you what is 4 and 5. You don't need to read them, just identify what they are and if they're true or correct.
What you've handed me is Arden 4, is a copy of my curriculum vitae, or CV. That's my professional resume, total of 6 pages. That is complete. And Arden 5 is a copy of the consultation report. Actually, it looks like it's 2 copies. Yes, this is actually 2 copies of my consultation report that I wrote in December of 2023 for this matter.
Okay. And I will, apparently my stapler got the best of me this morning. Tender 1 copy. At this time we go to move into evidence Arden 1 through 5, the photograph, CV, as well as his report.
All right, admitted. You need the screens.
Please.
I think most experts shoot for about 10 grand. That's what they try to charge, 10 to 15.
Dr. Arden, I'm showing, can you, well, we're waiting on the screens to come on.
Judge is working as fast as
While
he can.
that is coming up, when you were reviewing the remains, did you notice any damage to the bones of Mr. Farris other than thermal damage?
Right. Other than thermal damage, no. I did not find any kind of damage or injury to the bones that would suggest any other form of trauma, thermal damage.
Just going through it, you didn't observe any saw marks.
Correct. No saw marks, no knife marks, no bullet wounds in the bones either.
Now, for the jury, tendering Arden 1, can you identify what this is?
Yes, this is a photograph of several of the fragments of bone and tissue. You can see there is a tag that was with these fragments that's identifying them as tissue fragments that had a bullet in them. And I can tell you that you can see on our left there below the tag is a portion of a rib. The roughly triangular darkened fragment on our right is some burned soft tissue with another portion of rib. That's where that bullet had been recovered.
And just so we're clear, is the triangular portion on the left side of Arden 1, is that soft tissue with a rib still attached or inside of it?
Yes, I think you said left side. That's our right side.
Yeah, that's the right side. Sorry.
But yes, the one that you're circling with the cursor, that's exactly what that is.
Soft tissue with a rib.
Yes.
Okay.
Portion of a rib.
Portion of a rib. Okay. And Arden, I think that's Arden 3. What is that? Can you identify?
Oh yes, that is
actually that's Arden 2.
Okay, what you're showing as Arden 2 is a slightly closer up view of the same set of fragments. Now you can see the rib fragment that was toward the left, and another fragment of tissue that was the one of the bottom one in the first in Arden 1, and you can just barely see to our right the edge of that bigger triangular fragment.
And this last one. And for the jury, can you tell them about how you went about examining the remains at the coroner's office?
Well, the remains had been stored in various bags and organized in terms of which segment of the burn pit they had been removed from. Dr. Gooding had, in her exam and her report, basically divided up the area into 4 quadrants, A, B, C, and D, and the human remains and the fragments that were removed from each of them were labeled as to where they came from and bagged and tagged as to where they came from. So I essentially was provided access to all of those bags as organized and labeled, and then went through each and every one of them, opened them up, Some we opened, and some I believe we just examined through the bag. The areas that were more important, such as what you were seeing in Arden 1, 2, and 3, we took out of the bag, laid out, took the photos. I got to handle them and look at them in different directions, things like that.
And kind of jumping around, because that's how I do it. Through your review of this, did you notice or were able to determine whether any flammable or ignitable liquids had been used in this fire?
Based on the laboratory report from the GBI, which was testing to determine if there were any flammable liquids, what we call generically accelerants, the laboratory report did not identify any accelerants related to this fire or these remains.
And I'm going to show you what has been previously admitted as, we'll go with Gooding 10. Did you review this photograph to the best of your knowledge?
If it's part of the photos from the Gooding material, yes, I did. Actually, now that I look at this carefully, I did review this. I have seen this photograph, yes.
Okay. Can you explain to the jury what this is?
Yes. What you're looking at here, just slightly right of center, you see the vertical whiter band. That's a portion of a rib. You can see to our left there's a hand in a black glove holding the fragment, and the more orange kind of cylindrical item that's almost dead center in the photograph is in fact that bullet that was recovered from the soft tissue associated with that rib.
Now, with the portion of the rib that you were able to examine, did you notice any damage to the rib from that bullet?
No, there was no damage to the rib or any of the bones in this area. The bullet was simply in the associated soft tissue.
Okay. And I'm going to show you next. This is Gooding 11. This was attached to her report. Have you seen this photograph?
Yes, I've seen this diagram.
All right. You weren't here and you didn't hear it, but I'd asked Dr. Gooding where the bullet was found. And the best that she could tell me, essentially it's on the left side of the body. Is that what this photograph is showing for you and your medical opinion?
Yes, I think she's indicating here with the brackets that the rib fragments with the small area of soft tissue where the bullet was were from left ribs. If I recall correctly, she said in her report sternal ends of left ribs. So the sternum is the breastbone, and the ribs each rib starts attached on each side of your backbone, your vertebral column, and goes around and slightly downward from your side to your front, and then the ribs attach through cartilage, soft tissue, with the breastbone, the sternum. So she was referring to these being the rib ends that are closer to the front, but it was left-sided ribs.
Okay. Now, would you say that the bullet, because you previously testified, the bullet is in the soft tissue? Can you explain, give us any indicator of where that bullet may be according to Gooding 11?
It was in the soft tissue between two of the ribs, close to the front, close to the breastbone. So you have, if you think about the anatomy, you have the skin on the outside, you have a layer of fat underneath the skin, which is normal. Everyone has a layer of what we call subcutaneous fat. And then in this area of the body we're talking about, you have the chest wall, which has the ribs, and there are muscles, some muscles on the front of those ribs, and there's a band of muscles that goes in between each of the ribs. And they're called intercostal muscles, which is a fancy medical term that means in between ribs. So you have this chest wall of the skin, the underlying fat, the ribs with all of their muscles that makes a structure there. It's the outside, the boundary of your chest, and that's all. If you're going from the outside in, that's all before you get into the body cavity. We haven't reached the next layer deeper. Would be in the body cavity, where, for instance, your heart and your lungs are.
And so the body cavity is where all the vital organs are contained.
Yes, we have. Technically speaking, we have two separate chest cavities where each lung sits. You have a compartment in the middle in the chest, which is anatomically separate. that's called the mediastinum, which is where the heart and major blood vessels are and some other structures. You have another separate cavity in the abdomen down below, which isn't related to this, so I won't belabor that. But yes, inside the cavities is where you have all the vital organs, the major blood vessels. But we're talking about here are tissues on the chest wall. They're not inside the body cavities.
Did you also review the autopsy in this case?
Yes, sir.
All right. Did you notice anything odd about the autopsy, the actual report?
Well, the thing that I noted in my report about the autopsy report is that the autopsy report is essentially administrative details, who did what when, and the vast majority of the autopsy report actually is cut and paste from Dr. Gooding's anthropology report. The only part of the autopsy report that has its own independent examination reported is there's a paragraph of the examination of the X-rays taken by the medical examiner.
Okay. Now, from your review of everything that you looked at in this case, can you tell the jury to a medical certainty where the entry wound is?
I cannot.
I'm seeing if do we still have the projectile in here? What's up here? I know you hadn't actually seen the projectile. Maybe it's up here.
Welcome, Camilla. Thank you very much.
But there was, you recall, the petals on the projectile, right?
Yes, it was what we call a jacketed bullet. It has a lead core with an outer copper-colored coating, and many of those jackets have petals, they call them, on the nose end of the bullet, such that when the bullet enters a tissue, those petals can peel back, which is what happened in this case.
Oh, good.
And
I want to hear about this.
Can you determine anything about the path of a bullet potentially regarding whether or not those petals are pulled back on the jacket of a projectile?
You really can't. Assuming the bullet enters nose first, which is typically what happens, as it encounters the tissue, the resistance of the tissue can peel back those petals off of the nose of the bullet. And this is commonly how a bullet like this is designed, that as it expands, the nose of the bullet expands, the petals peel back, it causes greater resistance. So this bullet is now transferring more of its energy to the tissue that it's going into and through, so it creates greater damage. Now, if you find a bullet in the tissues, and if you can determine or maybe assume that the bullet simply went in a straight line and ended pointing in the same direction it was going, well, then the petals of the jacket will be peeled back, showing you that that's the nature of the peeled back in the opposite direction of what the travel of the bullet. Now, on the other hand, if that bullet goes into the tissue, and while it is deforming and the petals are peeling back, that bullet tumbles, turns, in any way isn't facing straight ahead anymore, well, then when you find it in the tissue, the direction of the petals going backwards doesn't reflect the direction of travel of the bullet anymore. So you could have it either way. It may be something that tells you the direction. It may not.
So from looking at the rib and the soft tissue that you examined and the bullet, can you give any type of opinion about the trajectory of the projectile?
No. And in fact, that's consistent with what's in the autopsy report. Given the nature of these remains, which were very severely burned, we don't have an intact body, we don't have an intact surface, and it was stated clearly in the autopsy report, and I agree with this. We don't know where the bullet entered, we don't know which direction it was going, and we don't have any evidence of distance, what we call range of fire. So no, we can certainly say where that bullet ended up, and I can then provide you opinions based on depending upon where we believe that bullet came from, what it did or did not do. But no, I can't tell you where that bullet entered.
Okay. And you reviewed Dr. Gooding's report, right?
I did.
Right. And you were aware that in her report she said that based on the peeling back of the bullet that it was a front to back or posterior to anterior. Is that right?
Well, front to back, yes, that would be anterior to posterior.
Okay, there we go.
Let's just go with front to back. That's easier.
All right, thank you. So front to back. Now, since you can't determine if there's an entry wound, can you determine any type of wound path based on what you've reviewed so far?
No, sir.
In your opinion, based on what you reviewed regarding just the rib and the projectile itself, did that projectile enter the body cavity?
Based on where it was located, there is no evidence that permits a conclusion that that projectile did enter the body cavity.
And what would, let me pull up another photo real quick. So, I had asked during her cross-examination, Dr. Gooding, where that bullet was, and she was very adamant that it was on the inside of the rib. Now, based on your photographs and your review of all of these reports, can you tell this jury whether it's on the inside of a rib or the outside of a rib?
It looks to me like it is somewhere between the ribs and maybe just a little bit inside. It's not very deep to that rib at all, though. So it's really still in that chest wall kind of anatomy that I described. It's not inside the body. It's not in the body cavity.
As a forensic pathologist, if something was just barely on the inside of a rib, would you still say that that is inside or outside the body cavity?
My best assessment of this bullet, as it's shown here, it is not inside the body cavity. It's inside the body. It's outside the body cavity.
Now, from your review, have you been able to form an opinion about how the bullet may have wound up in that location and not damaged any vital organs?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what is that?
This bullet, as I said, is not inside the body cavity as it's recovered. It could have gotten to that location following many different kinds of wound pathways. It is certainly among the many different possibilities that you can have a bullet wound that travels very tangentially. It's shallow in the body wall that enters, stays in the soft tissue outside the body cavity, and ends up in that location. So it could come from many different directions if it's not a straight-in shot that goes straight from the front directly in, but it comes more from the side, for instance. It could easily, I've seen bullets do this before, it could easily enter, I'm motioning on my own left side of my chest, strike the body at a shallow angle, enter under the skin, stay in the chest wall, travel toward the middle here, end up in precisely that kind of location, and never once enter the body cavity or injure any organs.
Now, did you also examine the skull remains?
Yes, sir.
Right. What did you find from that?
The skull bones had been pretty severely fragmented from the burning process. Dr. Gooding actually did a major job trying to reconstruct as many of the skull bones as she could to put the fragments back together. It was quite a job. And my examination of the skull bones and the photos of her reconstruction tell me that they were all damaged due to the fire. There was no evidence in the skull bones of any other kind of injury. So in other words, there was no positive evidence of a gunshot wound to the head, for instance.
Can you make, based on your review, any findings that there is more than one bullet that Mr. Farris was potentially shot more than one time?
No, there's no positive evidence of any other gunshot wound.
What do you mean by, that's kind of the first time I've heard somebody say that. What do you mean by positive evidence?
I mean another bone that has what is clearly a bullet hole in it, for instance. another area of soft tissue with a bullet recovered from it. No actual evidence of damage by a bullet is what I'm referring to.
Okay. And jumping around again, you're familiar with manner of death and cause of death.
Yes, sir.
Can you explain to the jury what manner and cause of death are?
Cause of death is defined to be the specific process, whether that's a disease or an injury, that sets in motion an unbroken sequence of events that ends with the death of the person, causes the death of the person. So it's pretty much defined by what the words mean. You have to reach a specific conclusion of what it was that ended up causing the death. Manner of death is a construct that we use in medical examiner and forensic pathology practice as a part of the classification of vital statistics. Manner of death is really the circumstantial explanation for how the cause of death occurred. And so manner of death is probably easier to understand if I give you what the choices are. The choices are natural, meaning death caused only by natural disease; accident, which is death caused by an injury that was unforeseen or unintended; suicide, which is the intentional taking of one's own life by injury; homicide, which for forensic pathology purposes, this is vital statistics, this is not criminal law. Homicide, for our purposes, means death at the hands of another. You die from an injury caused by another person. And there's no judgment when we say manner of death or homicide, whether it is or is not a crime. That's a whole separate issue. And then the fifth and final choice for manner of death is undetermined. If you don't have enough evidence to make a conclusion to a reasonable medical certainty that it is this one or that one, or if you have evidence that permits more than one of the choices and you can't really separate them, one's likely and one's unlikely, then you can go with undetermined.
From your review of everything that you looked at in this case, can you make to a medical certainty a finding as what the cause of death was for Gary Farris?
I cannot.
And can you state whether or not that projectile, well, I'm assuming you can't state whether or not the projectile caused any death.
Right. In fact, that's the point. I cannot tell you to medical certainty that the projectile found in his chest wall soft tissue was the cause of his death, because unfortunately, given the state of his remains, we cannot trace a bullet pathway from one place to another where that bullet ended up. So we do not have evidence that says to any medical certainty that that bullet caused an injury that caused his death. It could have, but just as equally possible, it didn't. So I can't say that that bullet killed him, and I have no evidence that affirmatively allows me to conclude that another bullet entered his body. So under the circumstances of the condition of his remains, I don't have enough evidence to say what killed him. So I don't know what his cause of death was.
So as a medical examiner, if you can't determine cause of death, what do you do?
Well, then you're stuck with admitting the limits of information and what
And
you
it's
can do,
undetermined.
and you cause of death undetermined.
Okay. So that's a possibility, saying cause of death is undetermined.
Oh, sure. I mean, this is well recognized. Every medical examiner, every forensic pathologist has been through cases like that. They're generally a small percentage of all the deaths that you investigate, but every medical examiner office has a couple or 5% of cases where cause of death, manner of death, or both are undetermined.
How many cases have you had where just you can't determine cause of death?
I haven't kept a record of how many. I mean, it's something I've done on numerous occasions over the years. I'm sure I've had at least one or two in the past year or two. And of course, I'm doing a more limited number of autopsies since I'm not a full-time medical examiner anymore. But I've probably had in 40 years at least a couple of dozen cases, maybe more.
Okay. And moving to the manner, do you have an opinion as to what you could say to a medical certainty regarding the manner of death?
I do.
What is that?
Actually, in this case, in part because we do not have definitive evidence of the cause of death, and in part because, as far as I understand, we do not have definitive evidence of how Mr. Farris ended up in that fire, and we do not have evidence that an accelerant was used to try to burn him up. Frankly, I think the intellectually honest conclusion here is that his manner of death is undetermined as well. I don't really know the circumstances of how and why he died. I don't know the circumstances of how and why his body ended up in that fire. Unfortunately, I mean, it's not real satisfying, but again, I think the intellectually honest answer is I don't know, and that's what an undetermined is for.
And have you had cases in your career where you're saying undetermined cause, undetermined manner?
Sure.
Okay. Have you had any recently?
I think I've had at least one case like that in my West Virginia experience fairly recently, yes.
Okay. Was there a case in Washington where you were undetermined manner, undetermined cause, or something vice versa?
Yes, I've had cases like that. I mean, the most famous case I worked on probably in my whole career was the death of Chandra Levy in Washington, D.C., the federal government intern who disappeared and was found skeletonized in the park about 9 months later in the woods. She was an undetermined cause of death.
Okay. How about manner of death, though?
Actually, I certified her manner of death as homicide.
Okay. And so why could you certify her death homicide but couldn't do Gary Farris's homicide?
Well, in her case, the circumstances actually were quite compelling that she didn't get there and die on her own. She disappeared unexpectedly, mysteriously. She ended up in a part of the woods in a very large urban park where she wouldn't have been otherwise. It's a huge park where people walk and run and hike, but she's on a slope, a wooded slope where people wouldn't go. She's found with, I think, only one article of clothing, her panties. The totality of those circumstances were such that it was clearly much more likely than not that she got there through the acts of another person. And that permitted me to say, again, from the standpoint of cause and manner of death, not a medical examiner doesn't determine crimes, but that her cause of death was undetermined based on the condition of the limited condition of her skeletonized remains, but the circumstances were compelling that she got there through the acts of another person, and so I certified her manner of death as homicide.
And so you can't say that Gary Farris is a homicide because you can't show how he got to the burn pile, evidence of how he was actually on the burn pile, things like that?
Correct.
Okay. And just one more question.
Got a bullet in his
for the
ribs
jury,
and he's on the burn
in your
pile, and you
expert
can't say
opinion,
it was
what
murder?
would the manner and cause of death be for Gary Farris?
My opinion is his cause and manner of death are both undetermined.
Okay. No further questions, Judge.
All right. Ms. Megan?
Good morning.
Morning, ma'am.
Good to see you again. All right, I want to talk about your consulting first, and then we'll get into the facts of the case, okay?
Sure.
What is your hourly rate for your testimony?
My hourly rate for all the work in this case is $450 an hour. Considering that this is a full-day trip out of town, actually an overnight trip, I have a flat rate of $4,500 for the trial date.
And that is the outstanding fee is still left, or is that part of the $6,600?
That's an outstanding fee.
You advertise your consulting on your website?
I do.
Do defense attorneys contact you directly to consult on cases?
Attorneys contact me directly. That includes criminal defense attorneys, civil attorneys, on occasions prosecutors.
Okay.
Mostly defense.
And you mentioned some trainings and teachings, and you mentioned training and teaching attorneys. That would also include defense attorneys maybe in that training as well.
I have, over the years, trained defense attorneys, prosecutors, and civil attorneys.
You mentioned that the majority of your career currently is consulting, and then you do the part-time ME.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right? Okay.
Correct.
So from your consulting, how much are you making in salary from your consulting?
We're a corporation. I think my corporation pays me about $250,000 a year now, something like that.
So you've mentioned you've testified how many times as an expert?
Some years ago it was over 900, and I've stopped counting basically.
That's criminal and civil?
Criminal and civil, trials, depositions, hearings.
Okay, so not just trials. That's overall. It could be a deposition in a civil lawsuit. You're including that as well?
I am.
Okay, not just jury trials.
Correct.
Okay. Do you know how many times of those you've testified out of the criminal matters were for the defense and then for the government?
I can't give you any numbers on that. I can tell you that in 20 years of government service, I probably had about 500 testimonial appearances in criminal matters called by the government. Since I've become a consultant, it's been a handful of cases where I've testified called by the government in criminal matters. And about half of my cases are criminal and half are civil in my consulting work, so kind of gives you an idea of the distribution.
Sure. All right, I want to talk about gunshot wounds generally. Now, you worked in New York and D.C., so I imagine you've seen a fair share of gunshot wound victims.
I have, yes.
So the seriousness and the damage a gunshot wound causes is dependent upon many factors.
It is.
Is that fair?
Yes.
It could even go towards the type of ammunition used.
That's one of the many factors.
We talked about the pedaling of the projectile or mushrooming of the projectile. You said that that causes greater damage.
Yes, the whole purpose of that is such that the bullet continues to impart its energy to the tissues and tends to keep bullets staying inside instead of going through and through.
So the purpose is to transfer energy. You mentioned the energy of the bullet.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. One of those factors as far as the seriousness or damage of the gunshot wound is the velocity, how fast it's traveling.
That is indeed one of them.
If it hits something and tumbles or anything like that could completely change the velocity or speed of the projectile.
If the projectile interacts with an intermediate target before hitting the body, it could change the speed, it could change whether it's flying straight and true. Yes.
Mr. Ray discussed with you the wound path or the entrance wound and exit wound, and dependent upon where the wound enters and where the bullet enters and where the projectile exits, you don't know the amount of damage until you see inside the body, right?
That's correct, yes.
And in those scenarios, you won't know what organs are hit until you open the body.
Most of the time, yes, that's true.
And you have already testified you determine the wound path based upon the exit and entrance wound.
The entrance wound, and if there is an exit wound, will generally define the wound path. The internal examination, especially if the bullet doesn't exit, is the other component of determining the wound path.
And without an entrance wound or an exit wound, you cannot tell where that bullet, the path that bullet took.
Pretty much. I mean, I could probably dream up some kind of oddball exception of some bodies where you may see internal damage without being able to determine entrance or exit on the surface, but for the most part, I think, yes, you're right.
Gunshot wounds can vary in size.
Yes, ma'am.
And that would in turn vary in the damage done to the body.
Well, I guess it depends upon what you mean by size. If I was thinking of size of the wound on the skin surface, the size of the damage internally can be different in different kinds of gunshot wounds, and that would probably more directly relate to your question about the damage, yes?
She needs to attack his, I can't call this murder.
I want to talk about, you mentioned energy of the bullet entering the body, and it can transfer energy to the rest of the portions of the body. Is that fair to say?
The bullet transfers energy to the tissues it strikes and some of the tissues at some distance from the actual path of the bullet as well.
An object in motion will remain in motion unless acted upon.
I have a couple of
the bodies that acting on that
based
bullet
on your
in motion.
experience and what you've seen out there. Have you ever seen a bullet travel through the body and rest near the surface of the skin without exiting?
We have seen that before.
I have, yes.
Or even partially exiting, but remaining within the body.
Yes, I've seen that as well.
And when, I don't know if you call them decedents or bodies or patients, I'm not sure the word that you use.
Decedent is a good word.
Okay. When a decedent is sent to you for examination, have you ever experienced where you open the bag that the decedent is in and a bullet has either fallen out of its body or out of its clothing that nobody caught, anything like that?
Yes, I have.
We've seen that as
well.
well.
Now, I want to talk about this case specifically. You unfortunately did not have any organs to examine in this case.
Correct.
So you can't actually say if organs were damaged or not.
That's true.
And based upon the location of the bullet, I'm going to pull up that lovely diagram that Dr. Gooding made. Gooding 11. The location of the projectile was towards the sternum, correct?
Correct.
And right behind the sternum is the heart and a portion of a lung.
Yes, right behind the sternum is the pericardium, which is the sac surrounding the heart itself, parts of the great vessels, and sometimes a part of the left lung will overlap that in the front.
Have you seen cases where a bullet causes internal bleeding?
Many times, yes.
And even times that there may not be a lot of external bleeding from gunshot wounds.
That can happen, yes.
Now, the bullet itself may not be the only source of the damage to a body. Is that fair to say? So, as far as transferred energy, a rib could become fractured and puncture a lung or something of that nature.
You can have secondary damage, such as bone fragments that are injuring a part of the body, yes.
So right behind the bullet in this case are vital organs.
Yes.
And you've already mentioned the word intercostal. I had that written down in my notes, and that means between the ribs.
It does.
So isn't it true that we have intercostal arteries?
We do.
And a lot of there's an entire vascular system that's located within those muscles, those intercostal muscles.
Well, there is an intercostal artery with its accompanying intercostal vein, one of which runs along the inside of the upper margin in a little groove of each rib. The soft tissues, you said vascular system. Other than those, the soft tissues have very small blood vessels, the capillaries that are microscopic sized, but no other major vessels.
You mentioned in your report, well, let me take you back a little bit. In your testimony, you mentioned that medical examiners look at the context in which they receive a body. So you do investigate to an extent as a medical examiner to determine cause and manner of death.
Or I would prefer to say we do investigate. Period.
You do investigate. Okay.
We do.
Okay. And you determine sort of a history of how that body came to you. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say, yes.
Now, you mentioned in your report that it's possible Mr. Farris sustained multiple gunshot wounds?
There are many possibilities for which we don't have evidence. So yes, he has one gunshot wound. He could have had others, but we don't have evidence to determine that.
Okay. So were you unaware of the bullet found in the home that he shares with the defendant with his DNA on it?
No, I was aware of that.
Okay. So that, reasonably speaking, would infer he could have been shot multiple times.
Again, could have been. That actually doesn't determine that he was shot multiple times. But yes, it's a possibility.
Sure. So his soft tissue on a spent bullet, you're saying it's your testimony that that doesn't mean he was shot with that bullet?
Well, his DNA doesn't mean. His DNA could mean that his blood was on that bullet, that he touched that bullet, that that bullet went through a part of his body. There's many possibilities.
But again, we don't know if he was shot more than 2 or 3 or 4 times.
That's exactly the point. We don't know. Nobody knows.
How many total people would you say you've examined on your table before, physically examined?
Well, I'm over 3,000 autopsies, probably at least another 500 external exams. In terms of exams that I have personally done, I mean, that's the best estimate I can give you. I mean, I've seen thousands of other bodies on the autopsy table that I've either been asked to take a look at or consulted or supervised, but my own personal cases were in the 3,000, 3,500 range.
Mr. Ray mentioned this case where a woman was found in the woods,
There's a bug.
I believe.
She's found in a wooded area in a large urban park.
And you mentioned that that was a unique location that she may have not traveled to herself.
It's not a place where people normally would go, not her or pretty much anybody.
Would you say putting yourself in a burn pile then is a normal place you would go?
No. I mean, it's a possibility. Not typical, no.
Okay. Out of the number of individuals that you have examined, what percentage of those, or just a guess, would have included a gunshot wound?
Well, first of all, I have a rule about not guessing under oath.
Sure.
So I won't guess. I don't actually have statistics to tell you what percentage of my cases had gunshot wounds. I can tell you I've seen, at the barest minimum, hundreds of gunshot wound deaths that I personally autopsied.
And in those cases, some of them may have been suicides?
Yes.
But out of the ones that weren't, it's fair to say that those other individuals that had gunshot wounds that weren't from a suicide didn't survive.
Anybody who gets to the autopsy table did not survive by definition.
That's funny.
That's exactly right.
First thing they teach you in medical examiner schools, don't do autopsies on live people.
Right. I'm glad you don't. Thank you for that.
That's funny.
So knowing that there was a spent bullet in the basement of the home with Mr. Farris's soft tissue on it, a bullet located within his body, and his body being found on a burn pile that in the reports indicate he did not fall onto, but was placed onto. It's still your position that that is not a homicide.
It's my position that the absence of definitive evidence means that an undetermined manner of death is appropriate. To be frank, yes, you have enough circumstances that you've outlined there that somebody could readily defend a conclusion that the manner of death should be homicide.
Wow.
I think we're missing a few pieces of information that I'd much rather have, but I'm not going to testify to you that calling this a homicide is completely illogical or wrong.
Thank you. That's all I have.
But you would still stand by that, based on the information that you've seen, that it's undetermined.
I would much prefer, if I were offering an opinion, if I am offering an opinion, that's my opinion. Undetermined is better.
All right. And just a couple brief follow-up ones. So, and let's just assume that Dr. Gooding's opinion that it is a front to back shot and it is a sternal rib end. Tell me where, to the best of your knowledge, where you think on the left side of the body that projectile is on those ribs. And if you look at the photo there, and just kind of guide me.
Right around, you've got the cursor, which is showing as a hand.
Yes.
And leave
Use
it right
the middle
there.
finger.
You now have that cursor overlying inside the bracket that Dr. Gooding put there, and those sternal ends of those ribs are the front slightly to the left part of the body. And that is the general area where the tissue fragment with the bullet was found, or I'm sorry, represents. And so where you've got the hand cursor is for broad approximation about where that bullet was.
So if you're shot straight on and the bullet lodges in between two ribs right there,
in soft tissue,
what kind of trauma are you expecting to see?
I'm expecting to see an entrance wound in the skin surface. I'm expecting to see some damage to the underlying, including those muscles, and I'm expecting to see some bleeding associated with that. And that's probably it. There could be some bruising on the underlying lung, meaning that the impact of the bullet can cause bruising in deeper tissue where the bullet didn't hit, but that's about it.
Yeah. It wouldn't cause death, in your opinion?
If you've asked me to assume it was indeed, as Dr. Gooding opined, the front to back shot that ended up in that chest wall in the front, then yes, much more likely than not, it would not cause death. In fact, then in cross-examination, the issue of intercostal arteries was brought up. The intercostal arteries are fairly small, and they arise from your aorta in the back, near the backbone area, and then follow each rib around. Intercostal artery bleeding from the part of the artery in the front is likely to be quite limited. On rare occasions, and I've seen this maybe once or twice in 40 years, an intercostal artery in the back where it's bigger can actually cause fatal bleeding, but that's extremely rare. So I would expect localized hemorrhage in the front, but not fatal bleeding and not fatal injury.
No further questions, Judge.
All right, Farris, anything else?
Nothing else, Judge.
All right, sir. Thank you. You can step down.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Ray, Mr. Weaver, anything else?
That's all, Your Honor. The defense will rest.
Defense rests.
Any rebuttal from the state?
No rebuttal, Your Honor.
No rebuttal. Whoa, we're flying.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the evidence is now closed. I'm going to take this time to remind you once again we are at a critical stage in the proceedings. The evidence is closed. You're not to look up anything about the case, talk to anyone about the case, and I'm going to give you some more instructions when I dismiss you in just a couple of minutes. Once again, we're revising the schedule. I had promised the attorneys that I would give them a full day to prepare their closing arguments, which I anticipate is going to take about 2 hours for each side. They're going to give you most of them are going to do a PowerPoint presentation of some sort, and to get their slides together for that. They have agreed, based upon our discussions after I dismissed you yesterday, that if we broke by about 10:30 this morning, which we are going to do, that they could take the rest of today to prepare their closing statements, and that we would be able to do closing statements tomorrow. So everything I told you yesterday has been updated, and you can't go off to work or whatever you want to do tomorrow. We're going to do closing statements and jury charge, and then y'all will begin deliberations. Before we do that, I'm going to take a minute of personal privilege.
Ooh.
The attorneys in this case have done a remarkable job presenting this case to you in a timely fashion. This case could easily have gone on for another week or two. And each time I announced my anticipated timeline, they worked to parse it down further, maybe based upon y'all's reaction to my proposed timeline. There easily could have been several more days of crime lab testimony, which they agreed to stipulate to the reports, to have one witness testify to things that witness didn't necessarily test, but knew enough about to present the information to you. They stipulated to the admission of a lot of the evidence in the reports. They didn't make unnecessary objections, and although we still sit you out numerous times, it could have been a lot more. Each of these attorneys has tried a jury trial in front of me or more. They've handled many more cases in front of me and appeared in front of me dozens of times, and each of them are outstanding lawyers. The Friday first week of trial, I don't know if you knew what we were doing after we broke, but we went next door to Judge Baker's courtroom because my courtroom is a disaster, and we swore in a new lawyer. And they were going to take photographs, and so we didn't want all this stuff in front of them. And so I asked each of the attorneys to come next door and participate in the ceremony with me. And as part of that ceremony, I had them each read a section of what's called the Lawyer's Creed, which is a set of aspirational guiding principles that lawyers should follow as members of the bar and of our profession, and they should treat opposing counsel with respect and courtesy and to act professionally. I want to commend each of you, Mr. Fogus, Ms. Frankish, Mr. Ray, Mr. Weaver, for embodying the words and spirit of those aspirational goals. The stakes in this case could not be higher. However, they did not let that pressure get to them. They've also had to try this case knowing that thousands of people are watching this case online and scrutinizing every minute of it and what each of them say and what each of them do. They didn't ask for this trial to be broadcast or for cameras to be in the courtroom. And none of us are used to being on TV and now have been made aware of our individual quirks, idiosyncrasies, and the number of times that we say or in a given day. They have done their best to ignore the media and not to play to the camera, but to present the case to you. They've treated each other and the witnesses in the court professionally and with respect. I appreciate it. I acknowledge it. I want to specifically do that in front of you, the jury. Thank you to each of you. I'm also doing this today because things might get a little heated tomorrow. Closing argument to be expected can be emotional, and I anticipate that they will continue to do their job to the best of their ability. All right. So again, thank y'all for that. Let's talk about the rest of the week. All right, we're going to do closing and charge tomorrow morning. As I said, I anticipate it's going to be lengthy. The case I tried right before I started with you, I had 3 defendants and the state, and each of them took an hour in that case. Because this is a murder case, I'm going to give each side 2 hours. But using that as my guide, by the time we got started, by the time we took breaks throughout each of their closing statements, and by the time I gave the charge to the jury, it was 2:30. And the jury had not eaten lunch. So we're not going to do that again. What I'm going to attempt to do tomorrow is for us to begin. The state gets the opportunity to open and conclude closing arguments. So the state will begin. They may go 30 to 45 minutes to start with. Then I'll let Mr. Ray or Mr. Weaver go for about an hour. They may want to split up their closings. I'm going to get the lawyers. Sometimes judges get caught up and only let one lawyer talk. I'm going to let whoever wants to talk on their side talk as much as they want. Or not as much as they want, but I'm going to limit it to about 2 hours. So at an appropriate time in the middle of defense's closing, we will break for 15 minutes, give you all an opportunity to stretch your legs. We'll then conclude closing statements for the defense. At that point, I'm going to attempt to do a 30-minute lunch break. We're going to order pizza in, give you all a chance to take a short break, eat something. Then the state's going to conclude closing arguments. If we need another break after their conclusion before I give you the instructions that I'm going to give you, which is going to be another 40 minutes, We'll take another break then if we need to. At that point, y'all will have the case. Now, we have to gather all the evidence and present it to you. We're going to try to do some of that today and get it somewhat organized and get y'all listed, the exhibits and that kind of stuff for tomorrow. So that's something else the state and the defense are going to work on. When y'all begin deliberations, my general rule is I let the jury determine how long you're going to be here and as late as you want to stay and when you want to come back the next day. I will offer suggestions to you and try to guide you somewhat, but for the most part, I let the jury make that determination. I think I have told y'all that we have been here till 2:30 in the morning before.
Whoa.
That was the jury's call. If y'all want to stay tomorrow night, y'all are welcome to stay. If y'all stay past 6:30, 7 o'clock, we'll order some food in for you. If y'all decide after hearing closing statements that y'all just need a break for the day, that's fine too. We will be here the rest of the week and into next week if y'all need it. We will try to break a little. I'm going to suggest on Thursday, if y'all are deliberating most of the day Thursday, that we try to get out of here a little bit early on Thursday because it's Halloween and traffic will be terrible and everyone has kids and other activities planned for the day. So again, we have Friday and we have into next week, which is what I originally told y'all thought the case would do. Other things, just to give you an idea, when we start deliberations, the bailiffs are going to take your devices away from you and they will be put in a box and they'll be left in the hallway during your deliberations while you're here in the jury room. I will give you an opportunity before y'all start deliberations to call home and say, we're starting deliberations. And you won't hear from me again until A, we have a verdict, or B, we decide to break for the evening. And then I'll be on the way home. And then that will be the case throughout the remainder of the deliberations as long as that takes. That way there's no mischief going on with your devices. There'll be separate instructions for the alternates. Y'all may believe that you know who the alternates are, but that information that you may have gotten off the clerk's website may or may not be accurate. I will talk to the alternates tomorrow and give them a separate set of instructions. Any questions from y'all as to what your schedule is for the rest of the week? All right, y'all be here at 8:45 in the morning. We'll start closings as close to 9 o'clock as we can. There may be some things we need to get set up and make sure the equipment's working, but we'll try to get started as close to 9 as we can. And then I anticipate, like I said, it will be most of the day. We'll stand up and stretch as needed. We'll take breaks as needed. And hopefully y'all will have the case by early afternoon. All right? With that, y'all can be excused.
Judge Cannon, let me just say, you're amazing. No. Oh. He called me out. He called me out for the counter. I guess maybe we need to stick to just like objections and things like that. Just have objection counters each time. Monica, welcome to the gallery. Thank you very much. Special K, we think you're great, Judge Cannon. We do. Elijah, this has become the Melody Farris featuring RA trial. Not by, I am sitting there. That's my picture on the right of the opposite corner of me. That's a screenshot from our live stream, sitting on the desk with all the evidence. Yeah. Ross McLaren, welcome to the gallery. Thank you very much. Good to have you as a new member here as well. let me explain. RA Pension Fund. Thank you, Danny. Let me explain a little bit why we do the counters. Courts are heavy. Courts have, by very nature, we're dealing with facts that are difficult to weigh, and they weigh on us. They're, generally somebody was hurt or harmed or killed, and someone else been accused with it. That's generally what brings us here. That's a lot. That's a lot to have on your plate in front of you every single day. And we do a counter as a way to lighten up that experience, so we can, so it's not just all murder all the time. We like to have a little bit of levity. We like to have something fun that we can focus on and maybe take a little distraction. And we do it in a manner that we hope is not offensive in any way. I do try to limit it to what I'd say is professionals on the scene. So prosecutors, defense, the judge, things like that. People that are paid to do that. I think they can handle just a wee bit of ingest poking like that. We do the counter so I don't fall asleep. That's another main thing. Yes, I'm actually evidence in a murder trial. I still haven't wrapped my head around that. I think the judge is fine with it. We've said all along we like him. We like just how down to earth he is. I hope he doesn't. Hope he's not offended at all. But we might have to reach out to him and get him some merch or something. The counter is down here in the corner. We called it the verbal buffer counter, and we were just counting the number of times the judge pauses mid-sentence and either verbally says or something like that, or long pause. Sometimes that also counts. And I do it too. If we were counting me, this number would probably be three times as high as it is right now, at least. But when the judge was doing his little moment of personal privilege there, that's 9 verbal buffers during your explanation. I'm telling you, I am guilty of this, 100% guilty of this. When the judge was doing his little explanation, he teared up at a point that initially caught me off guard. He got emotional when he was describing the law and the promise, the oath, the creed that lawyers and officers of the court swear to follow. And it got me a little bit as well, because I have a ton of respect for the legal system. It is amazing. I think it's the best system in the world. Honestly, there's not another court system in the world I'm aware of that I would ever want to be tried under or against than the one we have here, and I love it, and I have a lot of respect for it that way. So I appreciate him sharing that. We might have to get him a counter of some sort. I don't know. We might have to make him something. Maybe a little mug that says I don't always watch true crime, but when I do, it's with the little man in the corner. Hello, Amber.
Hey. I have 2 motions. We got called out again. More specifically, so as opposed to just hearing your broadcast through the court speakers, you actually got called out by the judge.
Yeah, the last time our counter got called out was by Shannon in the Crumbly trial, the Crumbly parents trial. And she called us out in the closing and mentioned TikTok. But this was a little more specific. I don't know of anyone else that's doing a verbal buffer counter for the judge. So.
Right, and it was by the judge personally, not the attorney.
Don't know if he wants flowers.
When you thought the call-outs were done in this case. So I have 2 motions. Because you mentioned merch. Yeah. My first motion is we've got to get the picture that they entered into evidence on a T-shirt that says the exhibit number that was submitted by. The second motion I have is we've got to
Barton 1A or something like that.
I'm more than happy to go back and find out.
Yeah.
The second one I have is we've got to get the screenshot. And Sharon put a few in mod chat that are great. We've got to get the screenshot of your reaction of him calling you out with the total count number and send that to the judge.
EDB, who I have a ton of respect for, says never send a judge anything. Now we violated that with Judge Boyd because she does accept flowers, and we did send her flowers. But we've never sent any other judges anything, and I don't want to cross the line. That I think the problem is a judge receiving a gift. It does have some bad optics to it. They're sort of
it does, but I think this is way different.
Yeah, well,
my opinion.
We might reach out to him to see if he's willing to give us an interview and just talk to us about being a judge. That would be really cool.
I was going to say, do I need to work my magic ways?
Of course, we might reach out to him, and this might be another instance of I can never go to Georgia again. Last time I went through Georgia, I wouldn't even stop to get gas. It was the speed limit, not a mile over, not a mile under, and it was proper lane position all the way deadhead through Georgia. I was scared to stop.
I think you might be scared just to enter the state line of Georgia now.
I've got to
make Mrs. RA drive through Georgia, or one of the age, or one of the driving age kids. That's their practice.
Yeah,
I've got to go. The last thing is making my migraine worse.
When we don't do interviews during trial. But we do find people that are interested, and we found Dr. Joe, and did an interview with him after things were over. We've done this before a little bit. There are some attorneys that have mentioned they would like to come on the show, but because of the ongoing things, we haven't been able to do that. There's nothing wrong with interviewing a professional in their capacity without. And doing so in a way that doesn't affect or involve the trial at all. So
right.
I'm fine with that.
People in chat are motioning to go back and replay your your call out because they missed it. With that, I'll let you go.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Anytime.
The jurors, the bailiffs are going to take your device.
We're back a little bit.
About 10:30 this morning, which we are going to do, that they could take the rest of today to prepare their closing statements, and that we would be able to prepare their closing arguments, which I anticipate it's going to take about 2 hours for each side.
We're going to go back and rewatch this.
They're going to give you most of them are going to do a PowerPoint presentation of some sort, and to get their slides together for that. They have agreed, based upon our discussions after I dismissed you yesterday, that if we broke by about 10:30 this morning, which we are going to do, that they could take the rest of today to prepare their closing statements, and that we would be able to do closing statements tomorrow. So everything I told you yesterday has been updated, and you can't go off to work or whatever you want to do tomorrow. We're going to do closing statements and jury charge, and then y'all will begin deliberations. Before we do that, I'm going to take a minute of personal privilege. The attorneys in this case have done a remarkable job presenting this case to you in a timely fashion. This case could easily have gone on for another week or two. And each time I announced my anticipated timeline, they worked to parse it down further, maybe based upon y'all's reaction to my proposed timeline. There easily could have been several more days of crime lab testimony which they agreed to stipulate to the reports, to have one witness testify to things that witness didn't necessarily test, but knew enough about to present the information to you. They stipulated to the admission of a lot of the evidence in the reports. They didn't make unnecessary objections, and although we still sit you out numerous times, it could have been a lot more. Each of these attorneys has tried a jury trial in front of me or more. They've handled many more cases in front of me and appeared in front of me dozens of times, and each of them are outstanding lawyers. The Friday first week of trial, I don't know if you knew what we were doing after we broke, but we went next door to Judge Baker's courtroom because my courtroom is a disaster, and we swore in a new lawyer. And they were going to take photographs, and so we didn't want all this stuff in front of them. And so I asked each of the attorneys to come next door and participate in the ceremony with me. And as part of that ceremony, I had them each read a section of what's called the Lawyer's Creed, which is a set of aspirational guiding principles that lawyers should follow as members of the bar and of our profession. And they should treat opposing counsel with respect and courtesy and to act professionally. I want to commend each of you, Mr. Fogus, Ms. Frankish, Mr. Ray, Mr. Weaver, for embodying the words and spirit of those aspirational goals. The stakes in this case could not be higher. However, they did not let that pressure get to them. They've also had to try this case knowing that thousands of people are watching this case online and scrutinizing every minute of it and what each of them say and what each of them do. They didn't ask for this trial to be broadcast or for cameras to be in the courtroom. And none of us are used to being on TV and now have been made aware of our individual quirks, idiosyncrasies, and the number of times that we say or in a given day. They have done their best to ignore the media and not to play to the camera, but to present the case to you. They've treated each other and the witnesses in the court professionally and with respect. I appreciate it. I acknowledge it. I want to specifically do that in front of you, the jury. Thank you to each of you. I'm also doing this today because things might get a little heated tomorrow.
All right, that was what happened today. The judge called me out because we were counting his ums and ahs, and loving every minute of it. So hopefully he's not offended by that. I do it myself. So. All right, that takes us to where we are right now. We're at 10:40 and we're done with trial for the day. Apparently, the judge did watch, possibly after we had our previous moment where we were sort of brought up in trial, specifically when defense questioned Martha Jane about where she watched the court. And she says she watched with the little man in the corner with the headphones. The little man in the corner with the headphones said that's where Melody got the gun. She stole it from Martha Jane. And Martha Jane knew that her gun had been stolen. She had suspicions that it was Melody that had done it. And so after that, then I think the judge might have watched our channel just a little bit, although he sort of hinted at that earlier in the trial as well. But yeah, you can start counting my ums and ahs. That's totally appropriate for sure. We are live. We're live right now. They are done with court for the day. I believe we are. We'll be back tomorrow. Right? Or I didn't even listen. I was a little sidetracked. Are we back tomorrow or is tomorrow a day off? Is today their day off and tomorrow's closings? I think tomorrow's closings. It means we might get to go to the jail calls today. Just one second. Oops. Let's see. 3. Day 11. Let's see, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11. Let's see what I can do. This might be a little brutal because we've got to. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to fix this or if I have to run it through an editor to remove the audio, the bad audio. Sherry, I don't have these saved. I don't like save my. I don't save these moments. First of all, it's incredibly nerve-wracking for this to happen. Verklempt? Karen, I'm not even sure what that word means. Waiting for some audio here. It's my fault.
After you were done speaking with Miss Farris, did you continue to interview individuals on scene?
I did.
I want to ask you a couple of questions about the interview we just heard.
I'm going to turn off.
Interview,
I'm going to pause this for a second.
Did Miss Farris ever pause to compose herself?
She did not.
Did she ask you a question?
We're going to pause that just for a second. I think that's before the interview is played, right? The poll, we're just ending the poll right now. The poll says, are you convinced Melody Farris is guilty of murder? And yes was 67%, no was 42%. So we're about 57-42 out of 1,200 votes. Pretty well split on this one, which was quite interesting. I think this is the right day. Was the interrogation or the interview, was that done?
By this point, it's pretty late. Do you have a guesstimate of what the time was?
I mean, I would probably say 10.
Okay, this is the interview, I think. Trying to find the very beginning of this.
He was coming in the driveway at that time.
Okay.
Sorry, let me get this spot queued up.
At this point when you were continuing to speak with the family?
That's correct.
Okay. At this time, the state moves to tender Hayes 2.
No objection.
All right.
Hayes 2, is that the first one?
11:16, so we'll probably stop it in about 35 minutes or so. Okay.
This is the interrogation of Melody.
I just want to talk to you again to try to see if you can clarify some things for us that just, talking to different people, that they think different things are important. And we have information that there was probably about a month and a half ago that there was another firearm found in your house, seen in your house. And you said that all there should be is the shotgun. Are you aware of any other guns in the house?
Yeah, there's a shotgun and there's a 22 that was at the house.
Like a 22 rifle?
Yes.
Okay. But no other guns?
No.
Was your husband an avid shooter? Did he like to go shooting?
Yeah, he did.
Where would he go? What would he do? Do you know?
He does skeet shooting, dove hunting.
So he's more of a shotgunner, bird shooting type guy?
Yeah.
Not a pistol or?
Yeah, I mean, there's, my dad had some pistols, but now Scott has them, and I don't know what's left of them. I don't know. Scott took them, he was in the military, and Scott took them and took them to Columbia, where he was. And supposedly the house got broken into, but now I do know that there was a pistol over the barn for a while, and I haven't seen it in a long time. Scott took it and put it away.
Do you remember what kind of pistol, what it looked like? Or don't have any
I
idea?
don't know anything about guns.
Is there anything else you can think of that you've thought of in the time that you've been out there that you overheard in conversation or anything like that? They've been sifting through the remains in the ashes, and they have found a projectile in some bones. Does not appear to be self-inflicted.
Okay.
Whoa,
So,
she just accepts
do
that.
we know what kind or what?
Well, they have the projectile, so we're, like I've told some of your family, we're on the scene. We have very limited resources scientifically to do the tests and the measurements and the things that we need to do. So we don't know what caliber
Right.
at this time,
I mean,
but it's
like
going to
I
be
said,
easily determined.
Oh, I know there was a 22 at the house. It was at one point in time propped up in the garage out there in the corner by the garbage can. But then Gary had it after that, and I thought he put it in his closet when the girls, knowing that kids were coming.
But it wasn't a pistol.
No. But like I said, Scott's got several.
So Scott is the one that told us about a month and a half ago that he saw the pistol in the basement. The AT&T guy was there to do some repairs or to do something. He was trying to find the remote. Found the pistol. That pistol's not there anymore.
I didn't know anything about one.
Didn't know anything about a pistol. So you were the last one to see Gary alive on Tuesday night.
Right.
Did you hear any gunshot?
No, but there was a ton of, like fireworks and firecrackers and all kinds of stuff going off.
Okay.
Scott he left, and and I don't know where he was. I don't.
You don't know where Scott was?
No.
When he left?
Tuesday. I honestly can't remember whether that's when I don't know. He was at the lake, I think, but I don't know that either. He leaves and we don't know. And he's played golf 3 days this week.
Okay, where does where Scott was have to do with?
Well, I was trying to think as to, his coming and going and that kind of stuff as to, whether he would have seen, I don't know whether he saw him when he came in Tuesday night.
Well, he said he didn't because he called you at 11:30 because he saw the fire burning.
Yeah, but he was coming in the driveway at that time.
Okay. And at that point, you didn't know where Gary was?
Well, I thought he was in the basement. I'd been out chasing the horses. And so I just came in, locked up the house. I talked to him as he was driving in the driveway because I was taking the RTV at the barn and parking it in the...
So she drove the RTV that night.
I don't know whether Gary had any other handguns or not. I don't know. And I don't know how many that Scott has.
So given the history of, just talking to everybody, it doesn't seem like he was depressed and suicidal. He's never had any violent tendencies. The location of where the wound was received on the body from the evidence that we can tell is not a typical self-inflicted place to shoot yourself.
Where was it?
It was in his rib cage. That's the one that we have found so far.
Right. I don't know. I don't know what to think at this point.
So he has no enemies or friends according to anybody.
No enemies or friends.
Right? A corporate real estate lawyer. So
yeah, he's a corporate real estate lawyer.
Yeah. There's nothing missing from the property that anybody's reported.
No.
You weren't harmed. You were in the house.
Yeah.
There's just you and him there, Scott possibly out in the barn.
No, but I don't know anything about, I mean, like I said, the basement was Gary's domain. You know, we rarely even went down there. I mean, I'd go through and collect dishes and, you know, that kind of stuff. I occasionally would go down there and check on him, you know, and no, I don't know.
So you don't know how he received at least one gunshot wound?
No, I do not. No.
Any feuds with the boys lately?
He and Scott would get into it pretty heavily. I mean, you know, I mean, they'd come to blows just over things because Gary was so anal about everything. I mean, Scott's hot. I mean, he's hot-tempered. There is no doubt. He's very hot-tempered. But, I mean, Chris, we've had our rounds with him of stealing money. Now, are you the one that I talked to earlier?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you and I talked on the back deck there.
But, I mean, other than that, I mean, we've had, like I said, we've had rounds for stealing money. I mean, to the point of that Chris is just, you know, we didn't know what to do with him.
Mm-hmm. So let me go back over. We went over your activities those days, and we didn't really pin any times down. And I know you may not be able to remember exact times, but we kind of need to pin down pretty much where everybody was at all times from, you know, the last time Gary was seen alive until today at noon.
Right.
So Tuesday is when you spent the day.
Yeah, I was at the house getting ready for the girls to come, Ellen and Eddie to come. Chris and Addison came, but I have no idea what time that was. Maybe 5:30, 6 o'clock.
That was in the evening?
Yeah.
No, this is on Tuesday, correct?
It was on Tuesday.
Chris brought Addison over.
Chris brought Addison over because he had taken Ella over to a friend's house that she had made since.
Mm-hmm. Right, after that?
I went in and was sitting on the sofa in the study with the dogs. And then he said something about one of the horses was out.
Who did?
Gary did. And we discussed about dinner. You know, was I cooking? Was I not cooking? Was I, you know, whatever. And after that, I went out and chased 2 horses for, you know, a while. I mean, one of them had gotten off the property. And I honestly don't know because I know, and I don't know what time Scott came in that night. But I talked to him. I mean, I don't know. And he discussed, he said, I said, the fire's going. I said, yeah, and I told him he had to watch it.
And about what time did you say he started the fire?
It was after Chris was there, I think, but I don't know that for sure.
So Chris got there between 5:30 and 6. About how long did he stay?
30, 45 minutes, I guess. But I don't know how long he had been there when I saw that he was there, because he didn't come into the house, but I saw him out in the driveway. And then we went over to the barn. And because Addison wanted to see all the animals and stuff. And then he left. And Addison was wanting to stay, and Chris wouldn't let her stay.
So Addison was wanting to stay the night.
Yeah.
Chris wouldn't let her.
And Chris wouldn't let her.
So, sorry, my phone is. So between 5:36, Chris gets there with Addison. And y'all spoke in the driveway. Or did he ever come in?
I don't think he ever came in.
Don't think he ever came in. He was there 30 to 40 minutes, and y'all just spoke in the driveway about what were y'all talking about?
Well, Gary and Chris were talking in the driveway, and then when I walked out, it was like it stopped. Just no discussion of anything. It ended. And of course, I was talking to Addison because she had just flown in from Maine, and so she and I walked to the barn, and Chris went in his truck, and Gary came up on RTV.
Came up to the barn from the house?
To the barn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then what happened?
Addison and I walked down to the pond and said, "Are you baby ducks?" And Chris followed us down there, and she wanted to know if was go see Olivia while they were here. And I said, "Well, I don't know." I said, "She was just here this last weekend. I don't know." And Chris said, "Oh, well, I don't know whether you'll get to see her or not." I mean, because Chris was just avid that, I don't know, he was acting weird.
It's a reporter.
Weirder than what he usually does. And I said, "Well, just call me if you want anything." Well, she can't talk. No. I mean, it was just, and I said, "Well, where is Ella?" And Chris said, "Well, it's none of your business." Well, yeah, it is. And so Addie said, "Well, she's staying with Emma." And I said, "Well, where are they staying at?" And she said, "Well, they're with Beth, or Emma's mom." And I said, "Beth?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "Oh, she's fresh out of the jail. She cannot go over there and stay." And I said something to Chris about, "You do not need to leave her over there." And he just brushed it off as, "Well, you don't know what you're talking about." I said, "Yeah, I do know."
Okay.
She's been in and out of jail several times here lately over a dispute with an ex-boyfriend, and she doesn't need to be over there. And she's been over there up until today.
So y'all got a dispute over that, and that's when he decided he wasn't even going to let Addison stay with you? Or was there ever a...
There wasn't really a dispute. I mean, it was just, he knew that I was upset with him because he had charged a condo at the beach.
Right. So he and Addison left.
And Addison left.
So this would put us at about 6:30ish?
Like I said, I have no idea. I mean, along in that time frame.
6:30 to 7? You and Gary did walk from the barn, because Chris left from the barn, right?
I walked back over to the house.
You walked back up?
Yeah, I walked back up because I had the dogs with me.
How did Gary get there?
RTV.
He rolled RTV back.
Yeah, he never walks. And
he never walks.
He came in. Like I said, we discussed dinner. And after that, I never saw him again.
You would have had the RTV out by the fire then.
When did you discover that he went outside to start the fire? You said it was after Chris had left.
Yeah, it was after Chris had left.
How did you discover it?
Well, I had walked outside just to shake a rug and some stuff out there, and I was like, all right, he's got the fire started.
Okay.
And so I told him that night when we were discussing dinner and stuff, I said, "You cannot go off and leave that fire. You cannot do it."
So he started the fire before you guys discussed dinner then?
It was long about the same. I mean, I don't know. I mean, when we were in and out discussing all that, I mean, I'm brain dead by this time. But yeah, I mean, at some point in time when we were discussing the dinner and that kind of stuff, I said, "Why did you start that fire?" And, well, what difference does it make? Well, because it's dry, it's 4th of July, it's, I can give you 100 reasons. You set my house on fire once before. And I just told him, I said, "Gary, you've got to watch that fire." But even that night when I was out chasing horses and stuff, I mean, it was blazing like,
Like it had a human.
So you guys discussed dinner, had a discussion about the fire. You told him he needed to watch it, and then he walked off, or?
Yeah, he just went down the basement.
Went down to the basement, and then what did you do?
I stayed in on the sofa with he said something he said, oh, by the way, the horse is out. So I got up to go see and got Rebel in, the older horse, and the donkey was not out. So I went back in and then realized then that I went back out to check on him again, and because I had to go put Luke and Leroy up, the two dogs in the barn, and I realized that the other two horses were out. So I had to leave the property
to go get the horse.
To go get the horse.
So then you finish all that up. You still not seen Gary in all this time?
No.
And you go back to the house after you're finished?
Yeah.
Okay. Then what'd you do?
Went inside, took a shower, got dressed, went in there and stayed with the dogs in the study, which is on the back side. Like if you go into my house, it's on the back side of it. Mm-hmm. And stayed in there with the dogs. And then, I kept going back out and checking the horses, but I just went out the front door and walked down the driveway, and back there. And then when Scott came in, I called Scott and said, how much longer are you going to be till you get home? Well, I'm almost there. Well, then we talked later on, and I'm thinking, why is this taking him so long? To get home. And finally I said, look, I need some help getting, walking up all, everything. How much longer are you going to be? I'm almost there. He got just very angry, very. I said, I don't know. I don't know what time that was.
Shoot a text. They're looking for you.
They're looking for me?
Yeah, they needed you and Trent back.
I don't have any that say they need me back. I don't have any that say they need me.
He sent me a text that said that they needed you back. Trent back and you back. I'll call them and verify it real quick and let them know what you're doing and see if they still want you back right now.
Yeah, is that Lee?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. So it's pretty late. Was it pretty late by this point?
Yeah.
Okay, and so you had a phone conversation with Scott.
Yeah.
And what did that entail?
It was just, you'll be home. Look, I've got, the horses are upset, the dogs are upset. Luke and Leroy are having a meltdown in the barn. Just typical. What we do, 9 days out of 10 with each other. Scott, when you be home, I'll be right there. And 2 hours later, he may show up.
Okay. So when he got home finally, did he let you know he was there? Or?
I saw him go in the driveway.
Okay. Did you call him or he called you?
He called, yeah. That was when he said, we discussed about he said, I see he's got the fire going. I said, oh yeah. And, he said, which gate did they get out of and how they get out? I don't know, Scott. They're just out. I put them back in and locked the gates up.
Hang on, the gates would have been open. She would have known which gate was open.
So, and by this point it's pretty late. Do you have a guesstimate of what the time was?
I would probably say 10:30. But I don't know that for sure.
All right. And did you go to bed soon after that, or what did you?
Oh, yeah. Immediately. Because, like I said, the two dogs were having just, meltdowns. I just pulled him in bed with me. And
what time did you wake up the next morning?
Scott came to the house at about 6:30. He called me. He said, I'm coming over to the house to get the debit card. So I got up, gave him the debit card.
She had the debit card?
He went and got cash. Or I said he went and got cash. And then he came back.
Okay. And then what did you do?
And then I actually went and crawled back up in bed, fixed something to eat, crawled back up in bed and lay there for, a while. And went to the barn to go feed the baby goat and feed Luke and Leroy and, that kind of stuff. And
Do you have any idea what time you went out to feed the goats?
No idea.
So you got up at 6:30. You think it was an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours after you?
Maybe 2 hours. I don't know that for sure. I mean, I got up and got started, and I talked to Amanda at some point in time, and because I was just supposed to stay home, and she said, "Well, let's go to Lake Lanier," you know. She said, "Cameron," and she said, I said, "Well, I don't think Addie's going to come because I don't think Chris will let her." And she said, "Yeah, Chris has been pulling the phone up, and Cameron's been texting, Addie and that kind of stuff." So, I mean, and I left. And like I said, we didn't get back until.
What time did you leave to go to the lake? You remember?
No idea.
Afternoon, before noon?
It was probably before when we left. Like I said, I thought he was up because I had the blower going and blew off the driveway and, up the upper deck, and then you go down below and blew all that off. And because the fan in that bathroom was blowing, and you could smell smoke coming out, at that time.
Mm-hmm. So when you left at around noon-ish to go to Lake Lanier Islands,
right,
or Lake Lanier, you didn't see or hear anything from Gary?
No, but that's not unusual either. I mean, especially on his day off, it's nothing for him to sleep till very late. Especially when he was having those spells, as we call them. I mean, he'd sleep till, sometimes all afternoon. Mm-hmm. But it was not, like I said, it's nothing unusual for him to sleep very, very late. And to go down to his office and go to, stay in there for hours and hours doing documents. And I noticed that the door was open very much to his office, still didn't think, and I just reached and closed it. Blew everything off, went with the blower up, and I was gone. So, I just assumed, I thought he's up, didn't think anything about it.
Where did you go when you left the house? Where was the first place you went?
Target.
Which Target did you go to, you remember?
Little Marketplace in Cumming.
Then you went from there to the lake.
Mm-hmm.
And what time did you leave there? Do you remember?
It was by the time we got out of there. It was probably, because I had Cameron, it was probably 6-ish when we left there. And Amanda, we called her and told her that I said, "I'm home." We had gotten home. I have no idea. And like I said, I came in, I was busy with the girls and getting, them situated and settled. And Chris came to the house and brought Addison.
But you were there when he brought Addison?
Yes.
So if you left the lake at 6-ish, how long does it take you to get there, from there to home?
A good hour or more.
So we're looking at home at about 7. And you took the girls in, we took the one girl in that you had already.
Right.
And started getting ready just for the evening, and Chris showed up with Addison. And dropped Addison off.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then what'd y'all do from there?
Well, we went over to the barn and I fed and just kind of took care of everybody over there. And then I actually had gone to the barn to feed, and I saw Chris pull in with Addison. So I just went back to the house. And we discussed about, Addie had actually a salad from Wendy's. And I said something to Chris, and he just blew me off. And I said, "Look, I need to know what the plan is. What are you going to do tomorrow? What are you going to do? You know, and he's, well, what does it matter? Well, I need to know. I've got, you know, the girls here. And he said, I mean, you know, well, it just doesn't matter. Well, okay. And so he just left. So then with them, I mean, it was, okay, we've got to get you all, you know, what bed are y'all going to sleep in tonight? What are you going to do? What are you going to, you know? And I told him, I said, please do not leave this house. Do not leave. And they wanted to go back over to the barn and stuff, and I said, well, it's fine, you know. Remember, stay out of the pasture, stay out of everywhere. And so anyway, we went back to the barn, did around, and finally, I guess it was about 8:30, 8 o'clock or so. I told him, I said, look, y'all got to get a shower and get settled in for the night. I said, I have been too hot today at late, you know, up there. And I mean, I was in bed probably about 8:30. And I told him, I said, look, remember, I know, you know, so I typically sleep with my bedroom door shut just to keep the dogs in. And I had left it open, put the dog gate up. I said, remember, I can hear you if you leave. And they promised to settle in, wouldn't be on their phones, wouldn't be, you know.
You said Addison is how old?
11, should be 12 in August.
And what was the other one's name? Cameron. And she's how old?
I think 11, 10.
And both of these girls are whose daughters?
Chris, my oldest son, Addison is his, Cameron is Chad, the one that's out here.
Oh, okay. So she is your soon-to-be step-granddaughter. Okay.
We've got the replay light
So you're in
on.
bed by 8:30.
This is what we missed.
Sleep all
previously.
night, or
Yeah, I mean, I'd wake up every once in a while, you know, just, okay, have I heard them? I mean, you know, and I remember hearing them in the kitchen at some point in time, but it was like, okay, they're in the kitchen, they're, you know, and.
But at no time, you didn't get up and go down, or?
No.
All right, so about what time did you get out of bed the next morning? Which would be this morning, right?
Yeah.
I'll have to look at the schedule and see what's coming up.
I got up and checked on them probably about 8:30. And they were both upstairs asleep, and I went upstairs and turned out all the lights that were, they have all the lights on upstairs, and I went up and turned.
You're good, Danny. You're good to stay.
All right.
Went upstairs and turned out all the lights and lowered the air conditioner because it was hot up there. And I, you know, lowered it down. And I don't know what time that they got up. I mean, I basically got up, fixed me something to eat, and I thought, you know, I'm just going to curl back up in the bed for a while and just, you know, chill. And I talked to Amanda, and she was on her way over. And she said actually at that time she said, I'm going to get up and I'm going to get ready and then, you know, come over. And Addie and Cameron were wanting to, they said, well, where's Big Daddy? I said, well, he should be down there in the basement. Did you not see him? And they said, no. And I said, well, did you look at the barn? You know, I said, well, go look at the barn and see if he's over, you know. Well, then Amanda got there, and then Scott came over not long after she'd been there. We were just sitting out on the front porch talking. And we discussed, I said, your daddy over at the barn? And he said, no. And I said, are you sure? Because he's not here. Well, then that's kind of when we started looking. And Amanda called his cell phone, went immediately to voicemail. And I went out and looked in his car, found his wallet in the console of his car. So it was stashed in there with all his cigarettes. And we started, you know, just looking for him. I called his secretary. I even called Emily and Franklin to see if she had talked to him. And she said, because Amanda suggested, you know, well, she said, you know, he left town, and I said, well, his travel CPAP machine is gone. And I said, so he very well could have left. And because he never tells anybody. I said, but his car's here, so that didn't make any sense. And I said, do you know when they were planning on going to the beach? Because Gary had just said he was going to go with Chris this time. He wasn't taking another trip on our dime and not go with him. And he had wanted both of us to go. And I said, no, because that's just feeding into his thing of taking money if we go. And he said, well, what if, we take the girls and go down there? And I said, well, no, that's fine. But Chris is not going to let those girls go without him, So, we just left it, Gary said, yeah, you're probably right. He's not going to let him go.
So you guys couldn't find him this morning, and you started searching?
So we started searching, yeah. Scott and I got on the RTV, went everywhere. Amanda and I we just walked down the hill, walked right by that fire pit, by that burn pile, and we walked right straight down that hill. And I said, look, the property ends right here, where the fence is. So we didn't even walk all the way down there. We get to see that there wasn't anything. We've been back up. Scott and I had been, like I said, in the RTV, and we'd pulled down, on the dam down there and backed up. And we'd been everywhere, just to see if he walked off or if he, whatever. And Scott and him rode up on the road to check at the top of the top pasture, up there. And then we all went back, and then Scott was, because we discussed about, a joke being put on the burn pile or anything like that.
Is that something y'all done before? Or?
Yeah, Scott, we have a baby goat or something like that to die, Scott would just put it in the burn pile and burn everything.
When's the last time y'all had to do that?
What?
Burn a baby goat or something?
Oh, I have no idea. No idea.
When was the last time that burn pile had been burned at all?
I don't know. It's been several months. Because I just wouldn't let him burn it. As I said, everything, you and Scott both take everything and put it on that burn pile. Everything. And it had just gotten so big and so whatever. And I said, it is just dry. It's too dry. And he, like I said, and all of a sudden it's burning.
Okay. So that pretty much narrows down your time frame and where you were and what you were doing and who you were with. So that was what I was.
And Scott called me after he got through playing golf. And he said, got through playing golf, and I said, what are you going to do? And he said, well, I'm going to go on up to the lake, but I won't be there long. And like I said, then it was, late when he got home. And I'd actually tried to call him a couple of times and he didn't answer. I thought you were going to be home at a reasonable hour, And he wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not unusual either.
Right. All right. Do you have any more? How do you want to tell them about the projectile, the bullet? You want me to tell them? You want to tell them?
Does Scott know?
No. You're the first one.
I guess we'll bring them all in and tell them together.
Okay. One other piece of business. I am going to, your cell phone is in the search warrant, so I'm going to need to take your phone and we'll forensically analyze it just to look for evidence inside of it. Do you have it? Is it in your pocket? Yeah. I'll go ahead. If you want to cut that off. Is it password protected? Will you give me the password? Or do you want to turn the password protection off?
No, let me just give you the password.
Okay.
I mean, do you have a search warrant for this?
They have it. I don't know who has a copy of it, but it is in the search warrant for all electronic devices.
I mean, do I need to get an attorney?
That's up to you. It's one of your rights.
Well, I know Eric Durlacher, he called this afternoon and he's like, well, you know, y'all be careful. Don't do anything that, I mean, you know. I mean, has Scott implied that I would have done something?
No.
I mean, I would have never, ever hurt him. Never.
The unfortunate thing is somebody did, and we don't know who did, and it's our job to determine that. So we have to go through our common standard procedures. I mean, you're the spouse. We have to do everything in our power to rule you out or to rule you in. You know.
Right.
So, and in today's day and age, with technology, cell phones are one of the biggest pieces of evidence. So it's common procedure. They're included. We take them. We analyze them. We can get it back to you pretty quickly.
So a good place to stop. I stopped it at 37:38.
All right, break for lunch.
Okay, so that was an interesting audio clip. Do we have more that same day? Let's see. After lunch that same day, is there more? Yes. We are on replay. This is what we missed when we were watching the Sarah Boone trial, these interviews. She asked if Scott implied it was her. So we've got, I might be on the wrong day. We started with the second interview with Melody. Detective Hayes is exempt from the exclusion rule because he's the chief investigator. That's pretty standard in the trial.
You read me that telephone number on the phone there?
404-357-6975.
This is the search warrant.
What is this thing, an iPhone? Do you know what model this is?
5 maybe.
iPhone 5.
What's the address out there again? Your address.
2155.
2155 Pelham Road.
Yeah.
Is that a Milton address or a?
Josh Road.
Let me know when you find it, and I'll give you the pen back.
Is this just going to be silent this whole time?
Sign there. That's just you turning the phone over to me, and I'll give you a copy.
She was not excited about turning her phone over.
Did we get a copy of this search warrant?
Mm-hmm. There will be left at the house. There should be multiple search warrants, so you'll get copies of each one. He's in there working on another one.
I was gonna say, but do we not get them like ahead of time? Or?
So this one is included in the. I'll see if he's got a copy of it with him. This will not be searched without.
Let's see if we've got the first interview. You said it was half an hour in. I think it was the previous day. Let's see. Let's go back one more day. Half an hour in.
At the beginning, explaining to them that the calls are being recorded.
In order to move things along for this jury, we stipulate.
All right.
Just calls. One is June 25th, 2019 call. I'm going to play it now.
All right.
Let's see what we can do and fix this audio. These are the calls.
Remain on the line. Hold for acceptance.
It's 8 minutes, 3 seconds.
All right.
This is a prepaid call from an inmate at the correction. Your call has been accepted.
Hello?
Hello.
Hey.
Hey. No, hit it back down.
Hey, Ma.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good.
Are you able to drop out of the house while you're out tonight?
I guess. Are we? We can.
No, just drop by there and see what's going on.
Okay. What are you doing?
Well, I came back downstairs and wondered, I've been walking, and then it came that I actually got phone time. So.
Oh, well.
Oh.
Yeah. I was on the phone with David when you called. He wants to meet up and have dinner and all that.
Okay.
But I don't have time for that. So I've got to get all that stuff written down for your attorney.
Okay.
Give this tomorrow. So I've got to go home and get started on that.
Okay.
But what kind of stuff, do you know what kind of stuff that they send from that jail pack?
Do what now? Yeah, I'm just looking
I'm just going to look it up and see.
No, we're here for you. Hang in there. We're going to do whatever we can to make this shit go away.
Yeah, I know. It hopefully will go away sooner than later.
Yeah. I don't care when it goes away.
Right. Well, I'll just be glad to be able to talk with y'all in person.
Yeah, but I mean, are we ever going to get that chance?
Yeah.
Okay. That's good.
Just watch your back.
We definitely will.
Watch your back.
I was going to say, you hadn't seen anything funny going on the cameras at home, have you?
No. Every time they go off at work, I look. Every time.
Okay. Well, is Martha Jane keep a check on Chris on Facebook?
I don't know. She hasn't said anything, but I figured I'd call her at some point tonight. And see if she's heard anything. But you said something about a picture? Chris sending a picture?
Of what?
I don't know, a picture of you to the paper?
Yes.
Have you seen it?
No, I haven't. I just heard about it.
I couldn't find anything. I don't know what it is.
Well, I don't know if it was on the news or in the paper.
I figured they'd just copy everything online. I thought. But I haven't seen anything yet. But all I do is I'll occasionally check online. I can't watch the TV or read the news.
Well, I know that one of them was on the news. I think it was either. No, I don't remember now what she said that it was. That the media said that it isn't sold to them.
All about that money. That's what it is. Money, money, money. Yep.
Do you know if they talked to Martha Jane when they were up there?
I don't think so. I think that, I think Rusty told her what was going on, but I don't think so.
Okay.
Well, they said they wouldn't be going back up there, so I don't know.
Well, you can't believe anything they say.
I can't believe anything what anybody says anymore.
Sure.
The hardest part about the whole thing. You don't know who to believe.
No. And a certain now what's his face? Michael, is that his name?
Yeah.
When they're meeting with tomorrow, he said he knows Jeff.
Yeah, he talked to him today in court. They had a discussion about the case today. I don't know what that pertains to, but he's going to tell me tomorrow.
Well, I know he's going to be very careful over the phone and over email with you.
Oh, yeah, of course. Of course.
But he should get a very interesting... I mean, you still got that email that you sent to Diane.
Oh, well, yeah. But that's just about them, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, he has notes and stuff like that, but I just want to make sure he has all the information that he could possibly.
You there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay. Yes. Well, I thought Allie looked good, though.
Yeah.
I think this
David
is Amanda.
Said I don't think he's as sick as he kind of plays it on to be.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah, David kind of laughed about it, but...
He's just sick. He's not sick as he says he is, but he is sick.
Right. Alrighty. Well, I got to go, so... Anyway, another day down, so... Figured, today is for the week.
We're here for you, and we're doing everything we can.
I know you are.
Just remember, our biggest concern is you and only you. Stuff is just stuff, and
karma is karma.
And karma is karma. Exactly. Did they give you those phone numbers?
No.
And your reading glasses?
Yes, I got my reading glasses.
But there was not a piece of paper in there with 2 phone numbers on it?
They just handed me my glasses.
Sure. I had Martha Jane's number on here.
That's okay.
Did you want it?
Yes.
Can I give it to you now?
Yeah.
You ready?
Yes.
9.
867-5309.
33.
09.
Okay.
So you can call her and talk to her. I'm sure she'd love to hear from you.
All right.
All right, well, I guess just call me whenever you can, please, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Well, I'll just wait since I've only get it basically one call or 1 15-minute slot, and I'll call you tomorrow when I know that you will have time to met with him. How's that?
That's good. That'll be fine.
Okay. Talk to you later.
Okay. I love you.
Love y'all. Bye.
Bye.
Next is calls 2, June 26, 2019.
Remain on the line. Hold for acceptance.
It is 2 minutes and 9 seconds long.
This is a prepaid call from. Your call has been accepted.
Hey.
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 I spoke to your attorney.
And?
I mean, I can't say good things because obviously we're stuck in this situation. But everything is handled as can be handled.
Make it quick because we're fixing to get a lockdown.
All right, you're going to probably see a guy come to meet you tomorrow. You need to sign off saying that we're allowed in the house and that we're allowed to put the lock.
Okay.
Because Scott and I are getting the lock changed tomorrow evening. Because Scott told Elaine today at the showing that he had ownership over everything, and that it was his siblings' responsibility to make sure everything was theirs and protected and blah, blah, blah.
All right.
So we're getting that handled. So just sign that, and we'll get the locks changed on your house.
And what?
We're going to get the locks changed on your house.
Okay.
Because all of that stuff is yours. Every single bit of it. Every bit of it.
Okay.
So Scott and I are going to do everything we can to protect it.
Okay. Did Rusty give you the list of things to get out of there?
Yeah, he gave me a pretty good idea, and he's going to have to remind me, but yeah, I do.
Okay.
So once you sign that paper, I'm going to go there and I'm going to get that stuff.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to keep a running list, and then that way I can give to him. So.
Okay. Are you okay?
I am. I'm good. Do you think it was a good meeting with him?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Hang in there. Keep the faith.
I will. Okay. I got to go.
I love you.
Love you. Bye.
Next is calls 3, June 27, 2019.
Remain on the line. Hold for acceptance.
8 minutes and 36 seconds long.
This is a prepaid call from an inmate at the correctional facility. Your call has been accepted.
Hello. Hello. Hey. I just talked with Michael's, I guess, I don't know, sidekick, 2 of them.
His notary?
Well, they came, well, I don't know, he just took kind of what happened on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then I signed that piece of paper.
Wait, what about Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday?
About what happened Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday a year ago.
Oh, they talked to you about that.
Yeah. And then I signed that piece of paper giving you all permission to get in the house and that kind of stuff.
Did it give us permission to change the locks on the house?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Did you
So
put
I'm gonna
Martha
have
Jane's
Chad-
name down on that?
I mean, I can. I didn't
Well, no,
know.
it was on there, but there was a name on there I didn't recognize, but it was Barton, and it had to have been hers, so I just wrote Martha out beside of it.
Oh. Maybe it was Rusty's? I don't know.
No, it wasn't. No, I mean, it was like, it would have been a variation of Martha, but that's not what it was. So I just marked it through because it was not a real name and just put Martha and left Barton on it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know why they would put her on there, but whatever.
I don't know either. But it was yours and Chad's and Elaine's and David and Alan and then hers.
Yeah. And his attorney people are supposed to be able to get in there. He said he was going to put his attorneys and stuff on there. But
yes, and they are allowed in there.
Yeah. So it's going to hit the fan tonight when we go over there to get those locks changed. But we're going to call and see if Cherokee County will escort us out there. So if Scott causes us any issues, then they can just handle him. I don't want to be stuck in a bad situation.
Right. How bad did he get with Elaine?
He said that he didn't show out. He wasn't like whatever, but he was very entitled. He said, this house is mine and my siblings, all of this stuff in it is ours. We're not letting anybody take anything out of it, and this is ours, basically just taking ownership over everything. And Elaine didn't want to say too much back to him because she didn't want to upset him even more than he already was. So she said that Robin lady that was with her, was right behind her and heard everything. And he said he never really got out of pocket, but he definitely was like, this is mine. And he was there the whole time when the people were at the house, looking at the house. He wouldn't leave. He refused to leave. And Elaine had said that she could tell that he had been in the house. Because she showed it the last time before he went up to Tennessee to be with Martha Jane. She knew kind of where stuff was, and she said that when she came back this time yesterday, things were moved and out of places. So she knew somebody had been in there, and the door to the kitchen was unlocked. So that's why it's so important that Chad and I get out there and get those locks changed.
Well, when I tell you I left everything perfect, I did when I walked out that door. I mean, it may not have everything been vacuumed, but, well, see, she was in it, though, after I left, though, because she said there was a vacuum cleaner out, and I said, yeah, I had left it out.
Yeah, but she said that there was a medicine ball out in the middle of the living room downstairs, so she put it in the closet in Daddy's old bedroom in the basement, and then when she came back yesterday, there was stuff covered. It was covered all over, and the medicine ball was covered up with something in the closet. Like, it didn't make a whole lot of sense. But she could tell. She was like, I know somebody had been in that house. And the doors were unlocked because she had made sure that the doors were all locked up. And she went there the last time. So, but I'm taking that Sequoia over there. Emily, redid Scott's tax on his car. Obviously, she didn't do the Sequoia or the Mercedes because the emission stuff had not been done. But she did Scott's tax, but I'm not paying the insurance on it. So, that's whatever. I'm just taking the Sequoia tonight, and I'm putting it in the garage, and I'm locking it up, and I'm leaving it there. Because it's not my car, and it's going to be with the estate anyways. Jeff's going to have to do something with it.
Right.
So I'm just going to go drop it off and leave it in the garage.
He mentioned something about the insurance money or the other money. Everything giving you power of attorney to do anything for me. And I said, do not have a problem with that.
Yes, me and only me. None of those other kids. I said me and only me, none of those other kids.
Yeah, I said, do not let them, So does Michael understand, I guess, the severity of Christmas Scott?
Yes. We enlighten them to a lot of the key information that they did not know already because, they kind of walked in this. But now, we sat down for 3 hours. Like, as you know, we could have sat there for 4 days and really gone over everything. But we got them the majority of the key information, all the hard facts. I got that all to them. So they're in the loop, and I told them to reach out to me anytime, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that they had. But everything is as good as it can be, and now we wait. Because he's, I think it's going to be, well, I'll let you know. I know. Did he tell you about what, about court?
Yes, but do not,
Okay.
do not.
Yeah.
And
I know. That's why I just said that.
yeah, and it can be changed.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm going to still plan on that. But I'm glad they got over there and were able to talk to you today. Good. Yeah.
And he said that Michael may be back this afternoon because we're fixing to go on lockdown here. And so anyway, he said that probably Michael will be back this afternoon, or they would be back this afternoon.
Okay. So, okay.
But
how are you? Did you eat today?
I did. We actually had Eggos this morning, so
oh wow.
I actually had that, and so that's just keep hope.
Keep hope. I know. I'm trying. My stomach has been, I mean, I was so sick yesterday. I called out of work, and so today I woke up and Chad was sick and I was sick. I mean, our insides are just messed up over there.
Right. Well, call Rusty back, tell him that I met with him.
Okay.
And tell him that I basically told, I mean, you know, he took notes and the other girl took notes, you know, and that kind of stuff. So he was looking back on his phone. I guess he had the notes that you all had, you know, put in yesterday. So, if I get a chance, I'll call you back. Are you working today?
Yes, I am.
Okay. If I get a chance,
So
but it will
I'm
be probably this evening before.
Yeah, well, I'm headed straight out to your house after work.
Be careful.
Yeah, we're going to have to call a police officer and escort it. So hopefully they'll come and do that.
Okay.
But, if not, I'll have Chad. We'll figure it out.
All right, just keep your phone with you out there so that if I can get hold of you, then I can.
Okay.
Okay. I love you.
All right. I love you too. Thank you.
Are these all Amanda? Or do we get
Next
any
one's
Rusty?
calls for July 5th, 2019.
Is
4 minutes and 59 seconds long.
name on the line. Hold for acceptance. This is a prepaid call from an inmate. Your call has been accepted.
Hey.
Hey.
Let me caution you not to say anything.
I know. Sherry tried to hug me as we were leaving. That didn't go very well.
Yeah, I never did. He told me do not look back that direction. So.
No, they were all there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Christmas Scott there?
Yeah, dressed in suit, acting like somebody.
Oh. Is Emily there?
Dressed in a suit,
Yep,
acting
looking
like somebody?
hell.
Do what?
She looked terrible.
She pregnant?
Nope. Looked like she needed to eat about 10 burgers, to tell you the truth.
Oh, wow. Wonder who had a look at
terrible. For Chris, because he wasn't there, because he was a warrant out for his arrest. Well, probably, I mean, I'm sure he doesn't want to set foot in the courthouse, but no, she didn't have her there.
Okay.
But John and Nancy were there.
Did you talk to Michael afterwards?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a few questions for people, but otherwise I still stand the way I do.
Do what now?
But I have a few questions, but otherwise, other than that, I still stand where I always stood. So, but how are you? Are you okay?
Yeah, I am. I mean, they brought me straight back over here, and, you know, I sat downstairs in a holding cell for, I don't know, 30, 45 minutes, I guess, and then they brought me upstairs, or brought me to my regular place.
We got in the car. I booked out of there because Sherry tried to give me a hug, and I wasn't in the mood to talking to anybody. And so we got out in the car and we were pulling out, and then Michael texted me and asked me where I was. So we came back and we talked to him and Scott for a minute.
Was that Scott who was sitting next to me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly who that was. And that's who he addressed at the end of it.
Okay.
And it was always a pleasure. Right.
So about the carpet
Yeah.
on the stairs.
Uh-huh.
I mean, really?
I mean, I figured that's where when Motley bit him. But I don't know. I figured if there was, that was because Motley.
Well, Michael said there wasn't.
Well, yeah, that's what I want to know. Why wasn't there any carpet taken? But, we'll talk about that another time, and I'll handle that later. But,
well, I sat and wrote down everything and told him during the trial what all was, wrong.
Yeah, we talked to him during the break and everything.
Okay.
So, he asked a lot of the questions that I want to. But obviously, we're getting to the nitty-gritty of it later on.
Right.
But
Right.
next, we'll see your bond hearing. I mean, we've got to figure that out. I just don't know if we'll have any property substantial enough to. Because if it's out of county, it's got to be double. So we'll see how that goes, but you'll still have one nonetheless.
Okay. Have you talked to Rusty about what they said?
No, but I was curious to know if he watched it live stream, but that's... No, I have not. I haven't called anybody. I don't feel like talking to anybody.
Right.
I did talk to David briefly, but it was just for a minute or two.
Right. Okay. Well, you need to call him and about that, what they said that he said.
Yeah.
And be very honest with him.
Yeah, one of the only really questions that I have.
Right. All right. Well, first we got back to lockdown, so I was just going to hear your voice.
All right. I love you.
I love you.
Why are they even locked down so
We'll
much?
figure it out.
Doesn't sound normal.
All right. Bye.
Calls 5, July 5th, 2019. Five minutes and 19 seconds.
Remain on the line. Hold for acceptance.
She never says her name on this.
This is a prepaid call from... Your call has been accepted.
Okay.
Oh, hey.
Need him?
Picking up Cameron from her friend's house in Jefferson, so we won't be at visitation tonight. Because she has to do a little poop on me.
You're over here all day.
Until noon, but we hightailed it out of there as quickly as we could.
You heard from anybody?
I talked to Rusty.
Did you ever speak to Emily?
No, God, no. No. But I told Jeff. What?
Did he talk to his attorney when he talked to you?
I don't know. I guess so.
Oh, he was supposed to have watched it and then...
Yeah, he did. He did. But yeah, I mean, it's all very unfortunate.
Well, I guess I just didn't realize that you could sit up there and lie.
Well, I mean, he's under oath. But I know he lied about one thing, so I don't know.
Well, I mean, Michael said that they could.
Well, it's all opinions and whatnot, so we just got to get into the nitty-gritty of it now, unfortunately.
Well, of course, by me not being able to go back and watch it again, I was trying to figure out, remember some of the things and how it was worded.
Yeah.
Have you watched it again?
No, but I was taking notes throughout the whole thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Was Patricia Steve there?
For a little while. No. We just went back home after we dropped Cameron off and went back to the house, took a nap, and then we woke up and came straight up here to come get her.
No, I said, was Patricia and Steve there?
No.
Oh. So just John, Nancy, and Terry?
Yeah.
Well,
and then Jenna and Chris, Emily and Don.
Oh, okay. So Jenna was there?
Oh, yeah.
So did she try to speak to you?
Nope. Sure didn't. I did not try to speak to her.
Alrighty.
But I talked to Jeff again today, and I was like, listen, I am not meeting them out there. I'm not going to be around them. This is not going to happen. And he was like, okay, well, just call me in the morning, and we'll figure something out. Like, I guess I finally got through to him. Now I'm not talking to them anymore. I said, if Chad and I have to pack everything up ourselves, so be it. But I'm not working with them.
No.
I'm not even going to have a meeting with them. I'm going to jump that hurdle and wait. Unfortunately.
Michael told me they'd be back over here, very soon to talk to me about it all. So.
What, today?
No, not today. I'm assuming first part of the week.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to get everything. He said there's going to be a lot of stuff to go through, so it's going to take a while.
Well, it sounded like they did not have a lot of the test results back.
Yeah, exactly. We've got to get that all, and then he said if he needed to hire anybody to go over anything, no, it's just going to take nothing but time.
Alrighty. I just wanted to hear your voice.
Yeah, I'm glad you called so I could forewarn you that we weren't going to be there, man. I didn't want you to think that we were showing up.
Actually, I didn't think that you would be. I mean, just because you've been over here earlier today, and it's storming over here now, so.
It didn't even really, it thundered at our house, but it never really rained, but it looks like it came with a pretty bad storm up here in Jefferson. There's a lot of leaves down and things. So, never truly stormed.
Alrighty.
So I guess just call when you can.
Alrighty. I love you.
I love you too.
Healthy distrust of law enforcement.
Call
present
6,
in these calls.
July 8, 2019. Four minutes and 18 seconds.
To remain on the line. Hold for acceptance. This is a Your call has been accepted.
Hello.
Hello.
What are you doing?
Packing up a shipment at work.
Do what now?
Packing up a shipment at work.
Oh, okay.
I have to take over Sam's job. She's had her baby.
Is everything okay?
Yeah. We're right back at work. Just living our beautiful life.
Exactly.
What's going on in there today?
It's linens and towels and clean clothes and all that kind of stuff today, so.
That's good. Clean clothes are always a good thing. I didn't know how often they would give you clean clothes.
Twice a week.
Twice a week? That's it?
Mm-hmm.
Jesus. Do y'all have to do your own laundry, or do they?
No. to bringing in a big thing and they hand it out to you and you change and the other back.
Alrighty then. What'd you eat for breakfast this morning?
I don't know. It's kind of like a biscuit and cornbread.
Why? That's it? Just bread?
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever get that food ordered from commissary so you could actually eat something?
I did.
I can send you those packs that Wanda was talking about so you can actually have something to eat.
No, I had ordered some. Granted, the only thing that's on there is kind of like Doritos, but it's enough to get by, and hopefully it's not going to be much longer.
I don't know. Thanks to your boy Rusty. I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
I'm really mad at him, and I really honestly, I don't want to talk to him. I'm sorry, but it was just too selfish of him to lie like that.
Well, of course, I haven't heard what was really said.
But he told me enough that he was being selfish, and if you're telling me you're being selfish, then obviously you know you did something wrong. So, as far as
he told you that?
The reason you're, yeah. So as far as I'm concerned.
He told you that?
Yeah, from his mouth, that he was being selfish, and he was scared. If he didn't want anything to happen to him, he's a coward.
That's what he called himself?
No, that's what I called him.
Oh, okay.
But he called himself selfish. And that's just not a good enough excuse to me to lie like that.
I'm not going to say anything in here. I'm just going to take care of it when I get out.
I just want you to understand that I don't think people have your best interest at heart. I don't know. It just really frustrates me. I go above and beyond for you, and then he doesn't even tell me, that he had done anything like that. So I just walk into it blind, and then we all look like fools.
Yeah, and I couldn't say anything,
I don't know.
That it will be taken care of. Alrighty, well, we don't have much time, but I just want to tell you I was okay. Make sure you're okay.
I'll be at work until 5:30, and then I gotta go pick up Chad from work.
Hey.
We have plans to go home and stay home tonight.
Right.
Hey, I love you, and I'll call me when you can.
Okay. Bye.
Okay, bye.
So Amanda, not a big fan of Rusty after Rusty said that Melody called him at night, early in the morning on July.
Moving to phone calls between
July 4th.
The defendant and Rusty Barton. This is calls.
Stretch for a minute.
Gonna stretch for a minute. Let's see. This comment that Rusty made under oath, he didn't rescind for 11 months.
Call 7, June 22nd, 2019. 6 minutes and 17 seconds long.
Please speak your name into the telephone. Thank you. Please remain on the line. Hold for acceptance. This is a prepaid call from an inmate at a correctional facility. Three-way or call waiting is not allowed and may automatically disconnect this call. This call is also subject to being recorded or monitored, except for privileged communications between attorney and client. Please select from the following options. If you consent to this call being recorded and to accept this call, dial 1 now. To reject your call has been accepted.
David.
Baby.
You okay?
Okay as I can be. How are you?
I'm okay. Amanda came and Chad came yesterday morning.
I talked to him. She called me as soon as she got out. I talked to her. All this week I talked to her and Chad both.
Okay. Did you see her the other morning?
Yes, I met them Wednesday. Got the puppies, got your stuff. So we got everything.
Okay.
Or they did.
Well, I went before the magistrate judge yesterday. It has been an immediate frenzy here.
Okay, it's kind of hard for me to understand you.
I said it has been a media frenzy here.
I'm sure that's what she said it was at the court hearing yesterday. And, you look on the internet and that's all there is.
Yeah.
I guess the only good part about it now is, Atlanta has so many things going on, but it's one of many. So, but it's getting quite the attention.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. Probably by design, though.
Oh, it is. My cellmate, who is very nice, by the way.
That's what Amanda said.
Very, yeah. And she came in last night and said that at 10 o'clock last night that the media was still surrounding the jail out here.
She knows it's because of you.
She does. And the others who had visitors and phone calls and that kind of stuff, of course, their family and friends and whatever had watched the news.
Right.
And she's put the word out, just don't mess with me, don't.
Right.
So far, there has not been any trouble.
But hope and pray for no trouble there, that's for sure.
Yeah. So I pretty much it's in a room that's kind of just like a dorm room, and it's got 2 beds and like a mat. And I pretty much stayed in there because I had a horrible cold. And it just felt like crap yesterday and last night. So.
Right.
Anyway, I just stayed in there. And in that way, but Amanda's at work now. So
Chad said that he put money in some account where you could make phone calls. So
yes, he did.
Well, so this thing shows up as Irving, Texas.
Yeah, that's what Amanda said.
I wish they'd have told me because I almost didn't answer it.
Right.
But then I said, no, I don't know anything anymore, so I thought I better.
Right, and I don't know that it comes up as that every time either.
Right. So I'll just, whatever it is, I'll just answer it. Doesn't matter.
Well, have you seen Martha Jane?
I have. I've been to see her, I guess, every day. I didn't go yesterday, but I've talked to her.
Okay.
I've talked to her every day. But
she
I went
okay?
to see her.
She okay?
She's just devastated,
Do you still have a key or way in her house?
I do.
Right. They'll just go in there and empty out the garbage, and I think there was a wine bottle sitting on the kitchen counter, and they'll just throw that away, and
okay.
That kind of stuff. Tell her I'm okay. But
I will. I will tell her that I talked to you.
Right. Amanda's at work or should be at work, so call Chad and tell him that you talked to me.
Okay.
And then tell her I will try to talk to them tomorrow. I don't know how often that I can get on the phone.
Okay. Yeah, they're going to try to come see you tomorrow.
Okay. Now, tell her that
I think Elaine tried to come to see you yesterday, but you can only have one visit per day, the way it's
right. Right.
And she said, I'm gonna go see Mama again Sunday.
Right. Okay. There's a time limit on this. I got to go. So I'll try to call you again as soon as I can.
Okay.
Okay.
Love you.
I love you.
Paul. Did they tell you all?
Do what?
Did Amanda and Chad tell you all?
They did.
Okay. All right.
What?
Strong.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. I love you. Bye-bye.
Pause for a second here. Pause for a second. Did Amanda and Chad tell you all? Did Amanda and Chad tell you all? They're using all as a code word back and forth as some sort of, are you in on this? Are you agreed? Are you on the same page? Did Amanda and Chad tell you all? They did. Huh. All right. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take a lunch break because Mrs. R.A. is almost back and she has a bunch of groceries I have to bring into the house, which is awesome. So we're gonna break right here. I think we're gonna try to find some more phone calls to listen to. Maybe another interview. See if we can put the pieces together as the state and the defense have rested in this case. We expect closing arguments tomorrow. We're trying to catch up. We might do a little court hopping this afternoon as well. But I'm just going to try to keep a low profile and not get called out by any more judges today. I think one is enough. So. Oh, man. All right. Tonight when you go home, please hug the people you love. Smile at someone, make their day just a little bit better. Please stay safe till we go live. We've got an hour for lunch. Is that all right? 1 hour? That'll give Mrs. R.A. time to get home and me time to get a couple things done. I've got a package on the front step I need to go grab. I think it's a stand for my laptop to get it up off, not this one, but the other one, up off the desk. So I have room for the stuff that I'm currently keeping in her bookshelf. So, portal over for the stream. I haven't built the next one. You just want to make sure I come back. That's what you're doing here. Use the settings. State and defense rested. There we go. Let's see. It's come back at 1:15. All right, here we go. Turn this off. Turn that off. Turn this off. I'll portal you. Hold tight. It's going to be just a second for the portal. Hang on. Don't go anywhere. Okay. Still connecting the portal. Don't go anywhere.
When are we going to break for lunch, Judge?
Just a second. Okay, portal's done. We'll see you guys in a bit. Bye.